Hello, friends and bees, and friends who are also bees, and welcome to this week's Indie Thursday stream. This week we are going to be continuing on where we left off with Higurashi, Higurashi when they cry, Meakashi I should say. Where we left off last week, God knows what happened. My brain is so gone I can't remember things. I think we'd met Satoshi, and we'd hung out with him at the based ball, and we said some kind of fucked up shit, and that's where we're gonna pick off. So let's swap over to the GP. Fine, we're swapping over to the GP this way. This is the way that we're doing it. We're doing this shit manually, because everything sucks and I love to die. No, it's because OBS is misbehaving. What? What? OBS isn't misbehaving, I'm just stupid, I think. Anyway, let's keep going. The rainy season was just around the corner. That's where we left off. The rainy season was just around the corner, and the air had become so humid that my skin stuck to my shirt. It had been a few weeks since Satoshi stopped showing up for baseball practice. I looked for him as soon as I arrived at the field. He's not here yet. Did I get here too early? I want to see him playing in the field right when I get here. I'd started arriving late because of those feelings. However, he wasn't here today either. I didn't even bother hiding my disappointment anymore. Everybody knew by now how I felt. The team members from Mion's class came over to try and console me, but I shooed them away. What's going on, Sonozaki? You feeling sick? Even Irie couldn't comfort me. I was aware that he too knew why I was like this. I'm going home. I don't feel like watching the practice today. Look, we're having a meeting with Okonomiya Titans later. I wanted you to be there because you're our manager. Don't treat me like a manager. I never agreed to be one. Irie looked down, not knowing what to say. Alright, please help us again when you feel like it. Maybe I won't be coming back. If you really need a manager, look for somebody else. Please do come again, whenever you feel like it. Satoshi will be sad if you're not here when he comes back. I ignored him and turned around. I'd already set up my schedule with Mion, so I didn't have to ask her every time anymore. I tried to contact her a couple of times to ask how Satoshi was doing in school, but I hadn't been able to get through to her. Apparently the hag had sensed that I might be in contact with Sis. In other words, Sis was being watched. As a result, it hasn't been easy to contact her. Gasai, who had been helping me contact her, seems also to have been marked. People knew he was loyal to me. I hadn't seen him for a while either. All I could do was wonder how Satoshi was doing. I was frustrated because there was no way for me to know. My head was filled with worries, but something surprised me out of the blue. Somebody called out to me when I was about to leave the field on my bike. Mion, hello! I'd never seen this girl before. Luckily, she called me Mion-chan. There's only one person who refers to Mion that way as far as I know. Reina, I'm surprised to see you here. Her name is Reina Ryugu. Her real name is Reina, but she wants to be called Reina, so that's what I would call her. She moved here in April. I had some information on her, but it was all ambiguous. Sis was still a bit uncertain about her since she's so new. It was hard for me to handle someone like that. I didn't know how to act around her as Mion, so I decided to pretend to be in obvious sulky mood. That way she wouldn't talk to me as much, assuming that Mion was simply feeling bad. Well, that's how I really am anyway. Are you going home, Mion? Yeah. You're not feeling well? Sorry. Let's go together then. I wanted to say that I'd rather be alone, but there's only one road to Hinamizawa, so asking to be alone would look odd. The only way to not seem suspicious would be to walk home with her. Yeah, let's go. Reina quietly nodded. I unlocked my bike. Mion, do you have an umbrella? Nope. It might rain soon. So let's hurry a bit, since you don't have one. It's been a while since I've done the Reina voice. As you predicted, we were attacked by pouring rain on our way. We ended up taking shelter in a small shack in front of a bus stop. It's pouring, but it doesn't look like it's going to last long, since the sky over here there is clear. Yeah. I heard the sound of rain pattering on the rooftops and raindrops jumping into puddles. It sounded loud, but it made me feel strangely calm. I zoned out for a moment. Then Reina talked to me while looking up at the rainy sky. I was worried about you because you looked so down. All the baseball team members knew I was depressed because I hadn't seen Satoshi recently. Most of them attend the school in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't surprising that she knew as well. I hadn't been able to contact Sis these past few weeks, but I was sure she had an idea of how I felt about Satoshi, and how I would feel if he didn't come to his baseball practice. Sis was probably pretending to act a little depressed during her day-to-day in Hinamizawa to avoid creating a big gap between our moods. But neither of us knew the details about the other right now, so she wouldn't be able to answer if others asked her what was wrong. She'd only be able to say, "Leave me alone." That might lead more people to become worried. Reina must have thought Mion was depressed. That must be why she came all this way to see me. She must have known what was going on, because she knew that I was at the baseball field. Do you feel lonely because Satoshi is avoiding us? Having deduced what had been going on with Satoshi from what she just said, he'd been distancing himself from others lately because of exhaustion. That's what it sounded like, at least. He looked like he was very worried about Stoko. I think he's really on edge. I feel bad for him. He really cares about his sister. He has a lot of courage. What I'd said sounded hollow, as I knew too well how much of a burden Stoko had become. But I think you'd feel even worse if you also looked that depressed, I think. I don't want that. I know. But if you really don't, then you need to smile for him. Otherwise he might feel really cornered. I know you're strong. You can smile, even if it's just pretend. So I want you to smile no matter what. You know that lies can become true sometimes. What she was saying in a nutshell was this. Both Satoshi and Satoko were totally wiped out. If Mia was also depressed, even though she's the sort of person who usually lightens the mood, the situation would be stuck in a vicious cycle. Reina sounded more like she was trying to give me advice and try to console me. She must be more mature than she looks. Sis told me that she was a funny girl with a few bad habits, but she seemed to have another, very mature side to her. To be honest, Reina really does have a very mature side to her. She's definitely one of those, mucky waters run deep type of people. Hi, Pixie. I hope you're doing well, Pixie Pix. I hope you're having a good day. I am so glad that it's Friday tomorrow. I cannot fully contain it. I'm so tired. This week has been a complete wipeout. It just shouldn't have happened. Ah, Jesus, sorry. I just jumped because my hand cream fell down and it made me scared. Do you love Satoshi? Yeah. Though I shouldn't have told her that. I immediately responded. In that case, why don't you smile? Reina smiled herself. I believe Satoshi will feel better if he sees your smile. I know you feel powerless now, but your smile will give him strength. I know what you're saying, but it's not that easy. Reina giggled and nodded. He'll come back after he's done with his part-time job. His part-time job? I almost asked that question, but I managed to stop myself. From the tone of Reina's voice, it sounded like it was something everyone knew. His part-time job, huh? Wonder when that'll end. Until he has enough money, I guess, but he'll finish by Satoko's birthday at the latest. I tried to figure out what was going on from what she said. I had listened very carefully to uncover the whole picture. Satoshi seemed to be working in order to make some money. I don't think it's easy to find a job when you're still in school. Sis might have had something to do with it. His job only seemed temporary, and it seemed to have something to do with Satoko's birthday. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. Satoshi was working and saving up to buy his little sister something expensive for his birthday. Oh no, sorry, Pix. Yeah, no, it was my my hand cream. It's very cheap hand cream that I bought from Boots. It's not very good. It's more greasy than moisturising, and it gets really sticky as well. And the top of it has broken, which means it keeps leaking everywhere, which means it gets incredibly greasy. I should probably toss it, to be honest, but I don't want to buy more, so I'm using this until it runs out. He was trying to comfort her, even though he was so torn up himself. Satoko again. Satoshi was already worn out because of her, and he was now working for her sake, even though he was exhausted. How stupid. It'd be easy for him to just forget about Satoko. We hates it, precious. I was startled when I realised Reina was looking straight into my eyes. She was smiling, but her eyes looked creepy. I never voiced what I was thinking, but she was looking at me as though she figured out that I was blaming Satoko. She beamed when she noticed my fear. She smiled as though she understood that I thought that way because of love. She was giving me the creeps. I could hear the thunder roar in the distance. The rain began to pick up. Do you feel jealous of Satoko because she monopolizes Satoshi? I avoided answering immediately this time, but Reina seemed to know what I was thinking already. I wouldn't be upset even if you did. That's just how it is when you're in love. Thanks. You've been encouraging Satoko despite that. That's admirable. Of course I have. She's my friend. I sounded so fake. Felt like spitting on the floor. All we can do is encourage Satoko and Satoshi. I don't know how to save them from their situation. Satoko is relying on Satoshi way too much. If she was stronger, he wouldn't have to suffer in her place. Haha, you sound really straightforward. Reina nodded with an unflinching smile, even though my remarks could be taken as harsh. What was this mysterious girl thinking? It was difficult to get a read on her. Maybe Satoshi feels that way a little too. Eh? Reina kept smiling, but her smile looked strangely cold. I think he's tired of protecting Satoko, and he's aware of that. Given the type of person Reina is, I don't think she'd say something if she wasn't certain of it. Because of that, she must have been confident in what she just told me. Why do you think that? He said so. What? Satoshi secretly confessed to her. Reina asked me to keep it that way. Satoshi told me that he felt tired of protecting Satoko. He was feeling guilty, though. I don't think he would say something like that. But, however, it wasn't likely that Reina was lying. I just met her, so I didn't know what made me feel that way, but my hunch told me she was telling the truth. I heaved a huge sigh. Satoshi must have gotten so tired that he couldn't help telling someone. Even so, even if he thought that way, he wouldn't tell someone so easily. Maybe Reina had led him to do so. She might be capable of something like that. I don't understand this girl. It'd only been a little while since we met, but I'd already started talking about something I was keeping deep inside of me. Does she have some kind of supernatural power to reach into people's minds and drag out what they're thinking? Probably. Suddenly hit me that I was sitting with this creepy girl in a tiny shack. I'd been dragged into her strange world. I don't think Sis has realised Reina's real personality. She thinks Reina's just a funny girl with some strange habits. She would have told me if she knew. It's a bad time. She hasn't quite got the possessed eyes. She's just got the Reina eyes. The possessed eyes, they don't have pupils, so... I guess Satoshi must trust you a lot if he confessed that to you. Ha, I'm a little jealous. It's not because he trusts me. I think it's because I've experienced the same thing. You what? Did you also have to cover for your siblings once? Those footsteps always followed me. They even came to my bedside and looked down on me. Huh? Sorry, Reina. What are you talking about? I turned around to face her and got the chills. There they are. There's the possessed eyes. Back at it again with that lack of pupil. Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze with my eyes wide open. Have you experienced anything like that? I guess not. Probably. Reina kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to... Why is it very loud suddenly? I tried to figure out what she was saying. Have you ever thought of leaving Hinamizawa and moving to a big city? Have you ever thought of doing something like that? I didn't know how to respond. Reina waited for my answer, urging me to speak with a silence. No, I love it here. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? I knew that. Didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Reina has some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds just by seeing the slightest change in their expressions, so I had to tell her the truth. You'll be okay if that's true. Oyashiro-sama won't get mad at you. Oyashiro-sama? Oyashiro-sama. That's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment. That's right, Oyashiro-sama. She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama never allows villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the dismemberment murder and the death of the Hodra couple. When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall under the I'm sorry, I've got hiccups abruptly. Fall under the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, to Okonomiya to be precise, but it should be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Hinamizawa. The hag forces me to live this suffocating life, but I still choose to stay in this place. I don't believe I'm breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I came back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me, but I think I'm still afraid of it. I love this place, though I don't think I qualify for Oyashiro-sama's curse. You could even call me a model villager. Yes, I think so too, but I'm not sure about Satoshi. Why? Satoshi wants to leave Hinamizawa and run far away, even if only unconsciously. Maybe that? Well, I don't think he was disappeared. I think... Thoughts. He was vanished because he decided to run away after, spoiler alert, Pixie, if you don't know this bit, close your ears. After killing his aunt, he freaked out, ran away, and then because he chose to run away, that's why he was vanished, rather than, like, staying in town and, I don't know, allowing himself to be protected. The villagers really don't like the Hojo family though, so possibly they wouldn't have protected him. Except I guess they did, because it was pinned on like a random guy. Sorry, I just nearly killed the audio by accidentally standing on my headphone cord. My headphones, I got some new headphones and they came, this is an aside, they came with a splitter so that you can ostensibly plug the mic in, which I don't do because I have a separate mic. I have a standing mic on my desk. The problem is if I don't attach the splitter, the cord is slightly too short and I can't really move, but when I do attach the splitter, the cord is massive, and I haven't yet worked out a happy medium, because with the splitter, I can scoot to the other side of my living room with my headphones on, and I know this because I've done it before to rescue my notebook for work. So, I guess when I'm gaming, I just need to like sit here with one hand on my lap, holding onto my headphone cord so that I don't accidentally stand on it and kill my audio and confuse the hell out of myself. Anyway. Like even an audible cry. But I was feeling sad that Satoshi hadn't turned up for practice. He still lived in Hinamizawa, so I'd never even considered the thought of him going away. Are you saying that he wants to skip town? Yes. He's not aware of it himself, though. He probably didn't notice it until Oyashiro-sama stood by his bed. I still had no idea what she was talking about. I continued trying to figure out what she was saying. Everything he's going through is a sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. You feel like someone is watching you from a distance, and it follows you. Then it watches from right behind you. After that, you start hearing an extra footstep. It only happens outside at first, but you start hearing it even inside your house after a while. Then, Oyashiro-sama keeps watching you even while you're sleeping in the dark, right by your side, waiting silently, for you to admit your sin. Satoshi told me he was having nightmares at first, so I asked him what kind of dreams he was having. And those dreams he was having, as it turned out, were just like mine. I warned him that the presence would become bigger, that he'd hear an extra footstep and feel the presence watching him in his sleep. I told him to come to me if that ever happened. He must have been suspicious at first, but just as I predicted, he started to feel Oyashiro-sama's presence more strongly. He finally realised he could talk to me about it. Rina didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. I could only feel stunned. I'm from Hinamizawa originally, but I moved to Ibaraki Prefecture right before I went to elementary school. However, when I couldn't adjust to my new environment, Oyashiro-sama frequently started telling me to return to Hinamizawa in my head, but I couldn't do anything since I was just a little kid. I was forced to live there, though I felt threatened by Oyashiro-sama's voice. Then... Reina paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more. Anyway, I was able to come back here in the end. Oyashiro-sama forgave me. I haven't felt his presence anymore since then. Satoshi is being subjected to the curse even though he's in Hinamizawa. Why? There can only be one reason. It's because he wishes to abandon Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama won't allow that. After a series of inner monologues, he confessed. You know, he's working part-time, don't you? The teddy bear he's getting for Satoko costs about, 100,000 yen, or about $100 dollarini. And he's trying to get the money by her birthday. Have you noticed it yet? Think about it like this. If he had that amount of money, that'd be enough for him to run away somewhere far from here. He unconsciously started to think about that, about leaving Satoko behind. But he'd feel very guilty. As you pointed out, Satoko was a burden on him. He's not stupid, so he's aware of that. He just doesn't want to admit it, because he's the one who's supposed to protect his little sister. He's been struggling with himself. He thinks he's working to please Satoko on her birthday. Okay, pigs, take care. Have a fun shower. I'll keep being freaked out. But he also feels that he might be deceiving himself, because he unconsciously wants to skip town with that money. I don't think he should run away. I suppose this is set in the 80s. The idea of being able to run away with only $100 is crazy to me. Like, that could buy you a train ticket to Scotland, but it could not. Maybe it could buy you a couple of nights at a shitty motel, but it could not. You could not run away with $100 these days, I reckon. Like, realistically. What do I know, though? I've never had to run away from anything, so... Well, I mean, I have, but in the emotional sense, not in the physical sense. I don't think he should run away. Even if he did, he'd regret it for the rest of his life. Oyashiro-sama knows that. That's why Oyashiro-sama is trying to warn him. I hope Satoshi stops thinking of abandoning Satoko. He's working hard to make it to Satoko's birthday, which is a couple of days after the Higurashi festival. He's pushing himself too hard. He believes it'll end when Satoko's birthday comes. The curse keeps cautioning him, while he tries to figure out whether he should leave or continue protecting her. The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pouring down on the galvanised iron roof, producing a loud noise. Yet in the shack, it felt completely silent. What the hell was Reina talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I'd figured out is that Satoshi was struggling, confused, and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oyashiro-sama's curse? And Reina has experienced that before? The Higurashi festival was right around the corner. Oyashiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. There was no guarantee it wouldn't strike a fourth time. Satoshi was subject to Oyashiro-sama's curse even now? Was he going to skip town? Was he going to be the next victim of Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. End? I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Reina told me. But if something really was happening to Satoshi, which might bring about some kind of an end, I couldn't help but feel scared. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but she had to listen to me. Sis, what's going on with Satoshi? He looks really stressed out. I can't even talk to him. What do you mean? You don't know what's going on because you can't talk to him? Sorry. Sis, give me another chance to trade spots again. That's fine, but I'm kind of busy lately attending meetings for the festival. What are you planning to do? Another part-time job? I'm going to your school. Dun dun dun! Shion has dropped out of school and takes Mion's place in order to get closer to the boy that she loves. By the way, the achievement for this is called Possessed. And I'm full of concerned cat energy. Let's see the new tips. Why don't I relate my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Her name is Reina Ryugu. Her real first name is Reina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain, she has no relation to the Samazaki family. She has no relation to the three families as a whole either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinamazawa, but then they moved to Ibaraki. That was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinamazawa some years later. Reina Ryugu said she came back because Oyashiro-sama told her to. I don't know what that means. She said it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that Oyashiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Satoshi had been interested in that experience. She said that Satoshi was also experiencing Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Reina had the same experience before. What is Oyashiro-sama's curse? Why did Reina and Satoshi have a similar experience? I believe that means that somebody put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Reina and Satoshi both blindly believed in Oyashiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oyashiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing paranormal phenomena. This to me is still like the ultimate crux of this series, is it people or is it paranormal? Because what we still don't know is if we live in a world where this can be true. And I say that both in the sense of the world around us, but also in the world of this game. There's no sort of categorical word of God saying, this definitely isn't paranormal, but these kids might think it is, because we genuinely have no idea. Because I personally feel like if we're living in-game in a world where Yoshiro-sama is real and he does have a curse, and possibly he acts through the Sonozakis and the other members of the town, it's absolutely true. I fully believe it. Partly because it just sort of smooths over all the weirdness, but also because I think it provides a more, how do I put this? I mean, I don't know much about small town Japan, but I feel like the idea of being like, we are gonna kill this guy because he didn't stand up enough, it's kind of whack. Or, I mean, especially with the most recent year, it's like, we're gonna kill this photographer because he's an out-of-towner, we're gonna kill this girl who moved into our town, and we're gonna kill her because she broke into a ritual storehouse, and we're gonna kill him because he helped to break into the ritual storehouse. Oh, and also we're gonna kill and fuck up a lot of other people, just for the hell of it. It seems very odd to me. I like the explanation of it being people, but hey, whatever, let's keep going, shall we? Judging from what Reina said, it seems that Satoshi had been put on surveillance since long before Tanagashi. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Reina? I'm assuming that the surveillance was placed on a victim to be here that year. If so, I don't understand why Reina went through it. Why did they watch her even though she was living so far away? If she was considered somebody who abandoned the village, I could understand. But she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to Hinamisawa? I guess she still knows something I don't. So I'm guessing these ones, these smudged and crumpled, are from Satoshi, and I'm guessing these notebook ones are from Shion, which seems odd to me to refer to herself as a helpless little girl, but whatever. Satoshi looked terrible. When he went home, he said he had to mediate a fight between Toko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day. He became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He was either sleeping on his desk or was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. The curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Satoshi that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Satoshi's aunt had also been watched. Did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victims of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove the curse on Satoshi was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance? Paranoia? Or really the curse? I like to say really the curse, but that's just me. End of chapter 4. Let's lose it. The achievement for this one, by the way, is heard an honest plea. President, if you would. For a moment, I forgot that the class president was me. All rise. Looks like you didn't get enough sleep. I know it's been very hot at night lately, but try to get as much sleep as you can. All right, everyone? Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure this place can be called a school. Because there are so many different age groups, it's like a kindergarten and an elementary school blended together. Since I'd heard already about what this place was like, I didn't feel that uncomfortable. It wasn't too difficult to act like me on here. A sis told me. Satoshi looked exhausted. I said hi to him, but he ignored me. Since I know what he'd been going through, his pain looked apparent to me. I was interested in another person in this classroom. Satoko, Satoshi's little sister. She looked as one out of Satoshi, emotionless like an abandoned doll. Everybody in this room was aware of their circumstances, but no one could do anything for them, so they just acted as though nothing was wrong. Mion will only let me have this one day. If I slacked off even a little bit, today would be over with quickly. I had to figure out what I should do in this limited time. I shall probably talk to Satoshi. About what? Anything goes. Cheer him up, sympathise with him, anything will do. More than anything, I just wanted to chat with him again. However, Sister told me. She said Satoshi didn't communicate much with her lately, and had distanced himself from her. I figured I shouldn't talk to him too casually. I wanted to, but maybe it was better to leave him alone. I needed to keep Sister's warnings in mind, but instead I decided to ignore them. I looked for Satoshi during lunch break. He was walking as if looking for a place where he could be alone. I caught him in the hallway. Satoshi. He turned around, startled by my voice. His facial expression surprised me. He was scowling, clearly a sign of rejection. But I couldn't hesitate. I'd lose my only chance if I did. Hey, how are you? He gave me a look as if saying, do I look fine to you? I never expected to see an expression like that on his face. Felt like my heart was being torn into pieces. As I looked down, he spoke to me. I felt a little glad, but the next thing he changed said that. I'm fine. Is there anything else? Hey? I'll get going if there isn't, because I want to be alone. Okay, I guess you're tired from work. I'm sure you want some time to yourself. Working today too, right? Where at? Sis had found several jobs for him. He worked at a few different places. He was helping out when necessary any of the shops Mion introduced him to. As a result, he constantly had to do different tasks in a different environment almost every time. On top of that, he requested high-paying jobs from Mion because he wanted a large sum of money as soon as possible. In other words, he chose to do mostly manual labour. He was exhausted every day because he wasn't that physically strong. Doesn't matter? And shouldn't you know because he helped me get the job? Mion did help him get the job, yet Satoshi didn't look thankful for that opportunity. This wasn't like him at all. It made me feel sad. You're right, sorry. Is that all? He sounded so harsh. Why was he being like that? Would he ever stroke my head again? Oh. Couldn't help my tears. It's not a sound it makes when someone cries, but I wasn't expecting that. They flowed onto my cheeks. Satoshi looked confused for a moment, but then he frowned again. Sorry. The coach said he wanted you to come back to practice. I told him I quit, so I won't be going back. But maybe it's a good idea to work out from time to time, you know? Not interested. I didn't know why he was being so hostile towards me. Why did he hate me so much? I was left bewildered. Why? How come? Because I'm busy with work. Isn't it obvious? No, I didn't mean that. Why do you hate me so much? Why don't you ask yourself? Ask myself? What? What did I do? I don't understand, Satoshi. I couldn't control my emotions any longer. Streaks of tears ran down my cheeks. Satoshi gave me a hateful glare and walked away without saying another word. I couldn't even stop him. If I tried, he'd hurt me again with another cutting remark. I couldn't bear that, so I just watched him walk away. I wiped my tears and went back to the classroom. I heard somebody crying from inside. Oh shit. I looked around the room to see. It was Satoko. I saw her bento box on the floor. I asked one of the classmates that happened, and it seems that Satoko had bumped into someone's shoulder when she stood up to go wash the box out. That was all. But Satoko was crying as if she was going to be chided badly. What happened was very minor. She could just pick up the bento box and things would be fine. It looked like the lid came a little loose, but it was definitely fixable. She didn't have to cry like that. Yet Satoko started begging through her tears. Help me, Nini. Because of what happened with Satoshi, I couldn't suppress my emotions very well. So instead, they exploded. Oh dear. Oh dear. I stormed up to Satoko while elbowing her classmates aside. I grabbed her by the head, then threw her into the wall. Satoko screamed. She didn't seem to understand what had happened. She was shedding tears and tittering. She must be wondering why I did that. Do you know why I did that? Help, Nini. Satoko cried for her brother's help again, so I grabbed her head and threw her again. This is not how to do things, bye-bye. Satoko stumbled and crashed into a desk. The desk fell and the contents of the drawer scattered about. Satoko didn't even stand up. She just crouched and trembled while looking up at me. Help. Nini. Nini. If you weren't like that, Satoshi wouldn't have to suffer. Don't you get it? That's what I wanted to say, but I was too angry to utter another word. I picked up a bunch of textbooks from the floor and threw them at her face. Cry as much as you want, but nothing's going to change. Why are you crying? Because you think someone's going to help you? You don't have any idea what he has to go through to protect you, do you? Do you understand that? Do you understand what you're doing? You shouldn't exist. Die if you don't want to suffer. Go fuck yourself. Don't hurt Satoshi. You deserve to die alone. You just deserve to die. Nini. My desperate cries only increased my irritation. Stop crying! Don't call your brother for help! Stop it! If you weren't like that, if only you... I kept on throwing things at her. Stoko called out protect herself and cried even harder. At that point, a girl with long hair ran up and huddled over her. I knew who that was. Rika Furude, one of Stoko's only friends. Please don't hurt her. She's in a poor situation, so please don't hurt her. Doesn't matter how pathetic she is. She shouldn't rely on Satoshi all the time. Stop spoiling her. Satoshi has to suffer so much because of her. No, stop. Don't hurt her. Rika also became the target of my anger. I'm trying to teach her something here. If you keep getting in the way, I'll crack your head open. I grabbed a chair and lifted it over my head. It wouldn't hurt only a little if I threw this thing at them. Rika tightly closed her eyes and covered Stoko with her body. I didn't care what the consequences would be. I didn't care if I hurt them. Stop! Neon! Reina returned to the classroom and shouted at me. Then Satoshi rushed in while pushing Reina aside. Seeming to have grasped the situation immediately, he charged straight at me. Until my body had hit the locker, I didn't understand what had happened. There was a loud crashing noise. I'd left a dent in it. I crouched there in pain. Stoko. I got the wrong one. Stoko, are you alright? Mimi. Stoko pushed Rika aside, jumped at her brother and started crying again. What happened? Why were you treated like that? Why? I didn't do anything, but Mion, she suddenly... What's going on, Mion? Satoshi shouted at me while clutching his sister. He looked fierce. What did Stoko do to deserve this? What did we do? Why do we always have to suffer like this? Why? Why? He released Stoko and rushed up to me, grabbing me by the neck. You said that I should ask myself, didn't you? So why don't you ask yourself? Ask what? I know you feel she's a burden on you. You always have to suffer because of her. You know that, right? If she was stronger, you wouldn't have to suffer. She's the one to blame. I don't believe what I said was wrong, but after hearing it, Satoshi went berserk. What the heck do you know? Ow. Ah! Satoshi grabbed my hair and threw me into the wall, just like I did to Stoko. However, I wasn't going to back down. I no longer had any control over my emotions at all. You spent so much time protecting her. She'll never stop relying on you until you stop doing that. What the hell do you know about us? The hell do you know? You persecuted our parents, and now it's us? That's the way of the Sonozaki family, huh? You torture traitors for fun? Is it fun? Is it fun bullying us, huh? Stop it! That was Reina's voice. She stepped in, looking as fierce as a demon. Satoshi, please. Mion doesn't have any bad intentions. She wanted to help you, but she lost control a little, okay? Satoshi looked like he wanted to say something back, but he chose not to. You too, Mion. I know how much you worry about Satoshi, but you can't solve the problem like that. I think you understand, right? Since Satoshi didn't say anything, I kept quiet too. Here, Satoko. You don't have to cry just because you dropped your bento box, alright? Do you feel better now? Satoko, I'll pick up the bento for you. Oh. Rika started picking up the bento box while its owner continued to cry. Guys, can you help us clean up? The teacher will be back from the vegetable garden soon. The scroll is over, so don't tell her about it, okay? The classmates looked at each other, then nodded, and then started picking stuff up on the floor. Here. Satoshi, Mion, why don't you guys shake hands as a sign of reconciliation? There. Sorry, I didn't mean to do this. Tears started to roll down my cheeks again. I'm sorry, too. You have nothing to do with our family situation. I'm sorry. Mion, you should apologise to Satoko now, okay? I was fine with apologising to Soshi, but I didn't want to apologise to her. But the situation wouldn't be settled otherwise, so I reluctantly apologised. Satoko nodded, looking discouraged. After that, Reina let me go. My head ached, so I held it with both hands. Crying will do that to you! What was that? What did I do? I didn't want to use this precious time to fight. Sis had warned me. She told me that I shouldn't talk to Satoshi just like that. Why did I come here for? I shouldn't have come here if I knew this was going to happen. Stupid Shion. Because I was so worried about Satoshi. When did things go wrong? Were they wrong from the beginning? I got into a fight with Satoshi. This was totally the opposite of what I wanted. I regretted it. I hated myself for it. I couldn't blame myself enough. My world had been torn apart. I wish the sky would fall and kill me. Every fucking day, sister. So I think I accidentally skipped over some dialogue there. No, it's just a dramatic shifting tonight. Sis sounded both amazed and confused. You know, I'm busy with the festival preparations, but you certainly made things more complicated. Sorry. Sis tried to say something, but she stopped in the middle. After listening to a few complaints, I started telling her about everything that happened today. Sis had to pretend that the trouble I caused today was her responsibility, which must have been very taxing for her. So I might get the chance to trade spots for a while? Hey, I think you should be more aware of the hassle I have to go through. Yeah, you're right. Sis has been sympathetic, but maybe I pushed her too far this time. Of course she'd be hesitant to trade spots, considering what I did today. The atmosphere felt awkward, so we were silent for a while. If you were to get another chance, what would you do, Shion? That was a reasonable question. I wasn't prepared to answer, though. If I had a chance to go to school once again and see Satoshi, what would I do? Would I apologize to him about today? I don't think that would work. That might even upset him again, no matter how hard I tried. Okay, here's something that he was saying. It was the Sonozaki family who had been harassing his. It would only be natural for him to hold a grudge against us. But why was he only expressing that now? I've been a Sonozaki to him all along. Satoshi stroked my head even though he knew that I was mean on Sonozaki. Sis, do you think that Satoshi is holding a grudge against the Sonozaki family? I think so, yes. It was our family that initiated the persecution of the Hojo family, making them into scapegoats. Even after the dam conflict, it wasn't easy for the Hojo family to live in Hinamizawa. Given all of that, it's not surprising that Satoshi hates us, the Sonozaki family, who put his family in a devastating situation. But why now? Why is he expressing that grudge to us now? Why is this happening now? If you wanted to... Oh. Ah! If he'd rejected me in the first place, I wouldn't have wanted to get close to him. My tears wet my cheeks. I didn't bother to wipe them. It's only natural for him to hold a grudge against the Sonozakis. There's nothing unusual about it. Rather, why has he been treating me like a friend? I knew how stupid the question was. I think it's because he was mature. I can't understand it. He'd been treating me as a friend because he was mature? But now that he'd become stressed mentally and physically, he's decided to reject me? I don't know. I had a dramatic sigh and I wanted to follow up with a thought, but then I couldn't. I am worst at holding grudges. Just got some of my hair trapped in my new headset. So I've christened it. Just pulled some of my hairs out. No matter how hard I thought about it, I couldn't find anything to fault him with. If there was somebody to blame, it'd be somebody I'd never accused before. Why did she decide to persecute the Hojo family? Eh? It was his parents who supported the dam project, right? So she had nothing to do with it. Why was he included? I remember the thought I was going to make. It seems like Shion would probably be the one to join him in that hating, because she was the one who was like meant to die and then was instead banished for all intents and purposes. Why was he included? Why? Mion couldn't say anything in return. Actually, it wasn't at all hard to guess the reason. The hag didn't give any specific order to harass the Hojo family. She just thought the Hojo family was getting in the way. The people around her noticed what was bothering her and took steps to get rid of it. Though of course she must have known how influential her own words were. She didn't just think it. She gave what she must have known would be interpreted as an order. She's the one to blame for initiating the attack on the Hojo family. You said before that the Furude priest wasn't mature because he didn't cooperate, right? Is this the same scenario? The Hojo family wasn't mature because they didn't act in accordance with the other villagers? That's why the hag decides to punish them, isn't it? Mion couldn't say anything in return, meaning that my accusation was the truth. They already punished the Hojo couple. Feel free to bring them to the torture rooms in the garden and chop their fingers off or something, but leave Satoshi alone. Satoshi has nothing to do with this. What did he do to deserve this? What did he do wrong? Answer me. Answer me, Mion. Mion! Very well. Please take care of the matter. Goodbye. Mion suddenly changed her tone and hung up. She must have done that to escape from my questions. I was furious. I started redialing the number, but then I remembered we decided to hang up the phone after using that phrase when she saw the hag coming. I doubted she actually saw the hag, but it was the rule, so I couldn't call back for a while. I went to the bathroom to wash my face and cool down. I turned the faucet. The water felt lukewarm. Didn't help me cool down at all. I'm disgusted by my own childishness. I just wanted to fill my void. I didn't care about him. Considering that, Satoshi was very generous, but I don't know if I can forgive Stoko. That's a different story. I really like this song, and I'm trying to remember where I know it from. Google that song that goes and I'll get fucking Weather Channel or something. I was looking up at the ceiling with my arms and legs spread out. It's not that I wasn't getting hungry. I didn't live with my parents. I didn't live in the school dorm. That meant I had to cook something myself when I wanted to eat. I knew that, but I still didn't feel like getting up. It had been several days since I began this empty life. Must be tomorrow. The Watanagashi festival, I mean. I heard the doorbell ringing. I ignored it, but it rung persistently. Sorry, I'm trying to do some basic maths and I'm failing. Very confused by everything at the moment. I ignored it at first, but it rung persistently. I started hearing knocking, alongside Kasai's rude voice. Shion, please open up. I bought some food for you. I didn't ask him to. He must have known that I hadn't eaten enough and that I'd been feeling down lately. You haven't eaten, have you? No, I'm not hungry. But when Kasai put the food on the table, my stomach reacted in a very primitive way by making some noise. I love that fish rug. His stomach is growling. I believe you need to eat. I was hungry but had no appetite. I mean, I did have an appetite, but I didn't have the energy to eat. Yet I'd feel bad wasting the food Kasai had brought. I picked up my chopsticks just to humour him. I thought you were marked by Grandma. Is it okay for you to be here? Oyo is busy with festival preparation meetings. She doesn't seem to have time to deal with you right now. Didn't you like croquettes? They're good, thanks. While I nibbled on the food, Kasai read through the magazines I bought. Have you, I'd never talked to Kasai about something like this before. Since I've always believed myself superior to him psychologically, I hesitated to show my weaknesses to him. That kind of hardship is healthy for your age. Hey, do you know about that? Mion told me a little about it. She said she wanted me to assist you. She did she? Huh. She looked worried. Your sister's looking out for you. Without responding, I threw the last croquette in my mouth. I thought you might want to know how Satoshi Hojo is doing. I've gathered some information. Would you like me to report? That's not necessary, but since you went through all the trouble, I think I'd better listen. Kasai chuckled, but stopped quickly as if thinking it rude. Seems that Teppei Hojo fled the premises. He seems to be staying with an intimate lady friend in Okonomiya. Teppei? Who's that? Oh, Satoshi's uncle, huh? Their aunt, Tamae Hojo. Satoshi and Satoko are the only ones living in the house now. Ever since Tamae learned that Teppei had fled to another woman, she's been in a foul mood. So that must mean that the aunt is being even nastier to Satoko, and Satoshi is taking even more indirect blows. I don't know about Satoshi, but I heard that Satoko is in a bad state. The neighbours are spreading rumours about her. If Satoko looks miserable, that means Satoshi must be going through equally miserable torture. Can't you do something about that aunt? Doesn't anyone talk about punishing her? She's also one of the remaining Hojos, after all. The uncle is gone, so why not the aunt? Me and Sonozaki ruled out against further harassment towards the Hojo family after the death of the couple. They say the police still might be staking out the house due to suspicions about the couple's death. Deaths have been filed onto Oyashiro-sama's curse, so the Sonozaki family thinks no further divine intervention is necessary. Kasai put on a faint smile. Come to think of it, it is hard not to suspect the involvement of the Sonozaki family in all the incidents said to be Oyashiro-sama's curse. Somebody strives to get rid of the hag's concerns on the day of the Watanagashi festival. Furthermore, the Watanagashi festival is going to be held tomorrow. Will the curse strike again this year? If so, who will be the victim? Now that I think about it, there were cases of multiple victims in the past. The first and third year it was just one, but the second year the victims were a couple. So it wouldn't be too strange if 2 people fell victim this year. Seems like a good time. Huh, good point. Bad point. It'd be best for Satoko and her aunt to be the victims. Satoshi will be freed from every source of his worries all at once. Kasai, do you know if this year's victim has been selected already? Does Grandma make the decision? If so, Sis should know about it by now. Kasai, do you know anything? Shion, I don't know anything about that matter. Well, that makes sense. Kind of a secret won't just make its way to you, because you're just a small fry. That's true. I've never received any information regarding that from my connections. But, as you know, the Sonozaki family has access to many underground organisations, which I have no channels into. Maybe I could try asking Sis about it, but she won't talk. She's strict about keeping promises, unlike me. If the hag told her to keep a secret, she'd take it to her grave. Damn, I hope Stoko and her aunt will go missing this year. Hey, Kasai, I just thought of that. Aren't you going to do something about it? Shion, you must be joking. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I took a glimpse at Kasai. Didn't look like he was actually going to do something to make my wish come true. I wasn't able to go to the villagers myself, so I definitely wasn't going to the festival. I didn't care about that. Even so, I was interested in who was going to end up as the victim of the curse. If I just kept lying on this couch playing hooky, someone would fall victim in several hours. I had no clue why it had to happen every year, but I was certain that the hag was behind it. All the enemies from the dam conflict had been punished. Only the Hojo couple was left, since most of the other enemies had already gone. Ugh, hiccups, I'm sorry. The cicadas were crying loudly outside. It made me feel hot. Why was it this hot and humid in June? If Oyashiro-sama was actually punishing people, I'd pray for one thing. I'd pray that the evil aunt would be punished, and I'd offer up Satoko as a sacrifice. Ha! It's hot. When I woke up, Kasai had already gone. Looks like he cleaned the table and surrounding room. He put my dirty laundry onto the hamper in front of the washing machine too. Being a girl of a sensitive age, I didn't want a man to clean my room. Well, I'd rather thank him than badmouth him. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. I had to go grocery shopping. There was nothing left in the fridge, and I'd be having just rice for dinner if I didn't go. At that moment, the phone rang. Must be Kasai, I thought. I did hope it was him. He could have brought more food, so then I wouldn't have to go shopping. Well, I was just being lazy. I didn't feel like going out at all. But it wasn't Kasai on the phone. Sis, where are you calling from? The house? No, I'm calling from a payphone, so I'll make it quick. Satoshi called me. Satoshi did? He called you? Probably wasn't me he wanted. He called you, I think. Sounded like he wanted to apologise for what happened the other day, so I thought you should take the call. I told him I'd call back because I was busy, so can you call this number? Okay. I was stunned for a second, but then recovered and wrote down the number on the back of a magazine. Thanks. I'll call right away. Good. He's been extremely stressed these days. I don't think he'll listen to me anymore, but I think he'll listen to you. She could have pretended to be me and handled his call, but she passed it over to me. Thanks, Mion. See you, Shion. Before she hung up, I put the handset down. Then, after a second, I dialed the number in a flash. I heard the dial tone 3 times, 4 times, and there he was. Hojo residence. He sounded like an adult. His voice sounded a little bit tired too, but it definitely was the voice I loved. I got scared. I was scared that he might become sulky again if I mentioned my name. I couldn't open my mouth for a while. Is that you, Satoshi? Oh, sorry that I called you so suddenly. Are you okay now? That was the Satoshi I knew. He didn't sound cold like the other day. Yes, I'm okay now. Good. After that, he went silent. I felt the urge to start a conversation. It wasn't fair. He was the one who called me in the first place. Then he finally spoke. I'm truly sorry for what happened the other day. I'm sorry too. You don't have to apologise, because I was the one in the wrong. If this were a face-to-face conversation, he'd be stroking my head. It was sad just talking to him over the phone. I won't forgive those people who forced us into this situation. You might be close to them, but it was never you personally, so I wanted to apologise. No, please don't apologise. I was selfish and didn't try to understand your situation very well. We apologised to each other a few times. It's like me and Grace and Swilly talking to each other. All 3 of us just constantly apologising to each other and also be there like, don't understand these people. Satoshi, are you alright? You're working and you're under a lot of stress. Isn't that too much to handle? I quit my job since I have enough money now. You did? That's good. You don't have to push yourself anymore then. That's really good. Satoshi tried to say something, but he dropped it instead. Satoko has it far worse than me. Seems like it. Is she alright? Does she look alright to you? He suddenly sounded upset. I'd messed up. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So stupid. I'd ruined this miraculous conversation with him. Satoshi didn't respond to my apology, so I stopped apologising. She's been hurt so much, it's clear to see. She's so torn up, and everybody abandoned her. Everyone did. I tried to calm him down. I hated what I just said because of how hollow it sounded. I had no idea what to say next. I felt guilty. Satoshi was desperate to protect Satoko from the evil aunt, but I'd wished that Satoko would die tomorrow because of the curse. I was trampling on his desperate hope. Satoko can't take it anymore, so... He cut himself off in the middle and went quiet for a moment. He must have been choosing his words carefully. Then he finally spoke. His words sounded hollow. I mean, I wanted to have fun for one night. Eh? What do you mean? The Watanagashi festival is tomorrow, isn't it? I want you to take her there. Yeah, I can do that, but why? She's exhausted, so I think she'd be happy if she could get away from our aunt for even just one night. But why? Why? It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her taken to the festival. What I didn't understand is why he was asking me to do that. Was there any reason he couldn't take her there himself? I had a hunch that he might disappear, so I kept asking. What do you mean, why? Thought. In book 3, Mion says that it's her who had this phone conversation. Food for thought. Why don't you take her yourself? He fell silent. Satoshi isn't good at lying or keeping secrets. It was clear that he wanted to hide something. I just have some stuff that I need to take care of with my work tomorrow, so I can't go to the festival. He was lying, but he was also stubborn. He wouldn't admit it if I accused him. Mion, can you take her there tomorrow? I wouldn't want to look after Satoko, even at Satoshi's request, but I'm also glad he's relying on me. I know it's ridiculous to ask for your help after that incident, but you're the only person I can turn to now. Didn't know what to say. I did know, though, that I wasn't going to turn down his request. Okay, but just for tomorrow, alright? I hope you'll keep looking after her. What are you saying? I wouldn't do that. Just for tomorrow. He sounded as if he were going to disappear tomorrow. I didn't like the sound of that, so I intentionally sounded sulky. We talked about trivial stuff for just a little while. When the conversation was almost over, Satoshi asked something else. Hey, Mion, I really hate asking this since you might think I'm crazy for saying it, but... What? You don't believe in it, right? Believe in what? In Oyashiro-sama's curse. What are you talking about, Satoshi? Oyashiro-sama curses those who leave the village, right? That's the rule. Every kid in the village knows that. That's the rule. What's with that suddenly? You planning to leave? Though I was kidding, I wanted him to deny it. I'm not thinking about that anymore. He admitted that he had thought of it. I guess Reina told me that much. That's good. So you're not leaving the village? No, but I haven't been forgiven yet. Eh? So she tried to say something, but hesitated. He was breathing so heavily. Was he sick? Hey, do you feel alright, Satoshi? Sorry, I'm fine. I guess you're tired. I think you should get some rest. He sounded distinctly more sickly from when this conversation had started. He breathed heavily when punctuating his words. Satoshi repeated his question. Mion, I'll ask you one more time. Do you believe in Oyashiro-sama's curse? What did he want me to say? Could I make him feel ready for my answer? How should I respond? The answer was simple. There's no curse. There can't possibly be. I didn't know what was bothering him, but I wanted to make him feel better by laughing his worries away. But Satoshi instead fell silent. I couldn't tell if he was happy with my answer or not. One thing was certain, I didn't make him feel any better. Sorry that I asked such a weird question. Sorry. I felt like I let him down, so I apologized in a rush. Whether it's a real curse or someone's conspiracy, I won't disappear and I won't fall victim to it. You won't disappear? No, not until I buy that teddy bear. I'll get the money pretty soon. I won't go anywhere until then. He chuckled. I knew he was trying to relieve me, but it worked the opposite way. He sounded as though he didn't care what would happen after he bought the teddy bear. Oh, my aunt is home. I have to go. Oh, okay. Mion. Huh? Even though he wanted to hang up the phone because of his aunt coming back, Satoshi took a breath to tell me something important. I'll leave Satoko to you. I should have said yes right away, but I still couldn't forgive Satoko, so I just kept quiet. Forget what I said. Bye. Oh. He was obviously disappointed. What had I done? I wanted to apologize. I wished I could, but it was too late. The dial tone left no doubt. Now that was depressing. I had this brief moment of wondering how Satoshi didn't realize that it was Shion calling and not Mion. And then I remember that this is the 80s and we don't have caller ID. The achievement for this is called Plea Ignored, and it is an unbaseable bat. Sorry if I sound like I'm losing energy, by the way. Work has been really stressful, so I'm abruptly really, really tired. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year, so I'm going to disappear soon. There'll be nobody left to take care of Satoko. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me I don't have much time, that I won't stay as myself for much longer, so I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Satoko? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back, bestow your violent nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind filled with hatred. This is what I suspected, that it was Satoshi who murdered the aunt, and then I guess maybe Shion and Mion helped pin it on someone else? Possibly. Right, I'm gonna do some, need to do some maths. There are 16 achievements in this game. Minus 14, because one of them is tips and the other is the after party. So that means that it's 7 in the first place and 7 in the second. Which means there should be 2 more chapters, and then it's Payment, Defilers, Payback, Noose, Path, Shocking, Revelation. Yeah, I don't know why I can't fucking count, but I'm right, there are 2 more chapters in this pre-Watanagashi bit, and then 7 chapters in the bit that's actually covering the Watanagashi arc. I just can't do basic maths. That's what my problem is. The day of the Watanagashi Festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. Something I find funny is that it is the Watanagashi Festival is the day before my birthday. It's the summer solstice. The summer solstice is either on the 20th or 21st. It does change each year. Normally I say that it's on the 21st because it's my birth. But this year it happened to be the 20th. So I was like, normally I'm like, oh, everyone's celebrating summer solstice and they're also celebrating my birthday. And then everyone I know, all the pagans I knew were celebrating it on the 20th. I'm like, oh, save some of your celebrations for tomorrow. Anyway, that's just a fun fact about me. My birthday is the 21st of June. I will give you one guess as to what age I am if you don't already know. It is somewhere between 22 and 27. And I have been living and working in my current city for just over 3 years. There you go. 1:40 p.m. What was I doing today? Nothing in particular. Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programmes. I had a light headache, so I lay down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. My ideal life, to be honest. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I'd already told Sis that Satoshi had asked her to look after Satoko. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. That'd be all I'd have to deal with. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-Dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute. But people had stopped looking coldly upon her, even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her, and so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers, and the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first? Their poor relationships with the neighbours, or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She, in turn, claimed that their relationship with the neighbours went sour because her husband damaged their reputation. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. The quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, the marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was a fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband access to them. So her husband would search the house for them. She'd find out that he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents left a large sum of money in some bank account, but wasn't the whole reason that they were pro-Dam because they were really struggling to find jobs and money? I always wondered that. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money, because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. Exactly. It's because of the dam project. His parents probably got the money in return for the cooperation with the government. Fucking, I'm stupid. Thank you, Satoshi, for answering my questions for me. They strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed its existence, they appeared to adopt Satoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. He realised that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustrations upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship, so if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred towards the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He'd learned when she'd get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her, by turning a keen eye to her behaviour and avoiding conflicts. But Satoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in their aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. So she strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him though, because he was still just a boy. He bore so much. He covered for his little sister by lying and manoeuvring, trying to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Satoko and her aunt had already spiralled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. Probably was some legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. He passed by the street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He found a plain-looking desk of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt linked to bring usable trash home. She'd had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in the drawers, so she'd always open and check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There he laid something he'd been carrying all this time until the day. It'd be very hard to find unless he specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m. Hey, old pal, I see you showed up again this year. You better get ready for us. Ha ha ha, you're as peppy as ever. Oh, is she a newcomer? Uh-huh, this is Reina Ryugu. Don't underestimate her, she's good. No, I'm not. Nice to meet you. Yo, you too. I brought all kinds of prizes this year. There'll be a real battle to win. Try and take them all if you can. Reina tends to dote on cute stuff. Yeah, that stuffed animal looks just her type. What? How so cute. I want to take it home. Hey, the booth isn't open yet. Whoa. Stop it, Reina. He says the booth isn't open yet. You can run him into the ground once he opens it up. How? It's mine. I'm taking it home. Reina lost her marbles over the stuffed animal. Everyone laughed. Everyone except Satoko. She was standing by herself, some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull. Meep. What is it, Rika? Rika walked up to Satoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up. Forget your worries today. Let's just have fun. Satoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change. Satoko, your evil aunt isn't around. I know that. So why don't you have fun? Nipa? 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 Oh, sorry, but I don't feel like it. Could you please leave me alone? Why aren't you smiling? Satoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt, no matter how fun the festival was. When she went home, her aunt would be there. The aunt would find something wrong with Satoko, get mad and shout at her so loudly the neighbours would hear. How could she have fun, even just for today, while knowing all that? Satoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika. So, Satoko, if your suffering ends today, will you smile? Stoko gasped. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realised Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Stoko knew that there was really nothing Rika could do. And so, after just one moment of freedom, Stoko fell into depression again. Rika, don't give me false hopes. Stoko. Rika's voice was clearer than Stoko had ever heard before. It's already been decided. June 20th, 1982, 8:11 p.m. So she snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 o'clock. After the Watanagashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. So there were two types of people in Hinamizawa. The people who go home for dinner, and the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbours in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody on the streets. On that night, the small village seemed especially desolate. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he'd keep running until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted, but started running without hesitation. He felt as though he'd become a wild animal running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Not only his running ability, his vision, his hearing, and a sense of smell. All his senses were keener, including his sixth sense. Sorry. I should probably mute myself before I cough, but every time I forget, because I'm dumb. He could almost sense the presence of people in the distance, if only when crouching like an animal. It felt strange, as though he'd stepped into another world. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear, but now he felt as though he'd metamorphosed into a different person. June 20th, 1982, 8:37 p.m. Alright everyone, I'm going to explain how the raffle works. Please gather around the altar. The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Both the women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they'd held a raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onwards to attract more people to the festival. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated, but Oreo, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had thrown them away. Oreo took the initiative and bought a brand new TV, washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things to the raffle. I would fucking enter for a washing machine, good lord. Washing machine that doesn't leak into my sink, that's the dream. Brand new TV? Fucking hell yes. Cooling fan? The dream. The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Oreo was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough in her opinion. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of equal value the following year, so this might be the first and last raffle. Thanks to you, we have such wonderful prizes this year, Oreo. They must have cost a lot, didn't they? We can reimburse you from our budget. Buffoon. No point in reimbursing that. It's never about the money. Idiots. Now, don't say that. This raffle's all thanks to you, Oreo. It's not like I'm doing this all by myself. Don't be ridiculous. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Oreo. He looks like he'd have a tough time pacifying anyone, to be honest. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. He looked upset, so Kimiyoshi assumed that probably somebody got hurt in an accident. What's going on, Makino? I hope you're not having a heart attack. Kimiyoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, still looked tense. He whispered something to Kimiyoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kimiyoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news. Oreo, I have unpleasant news if you don't mind. Kimiyoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Orio's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kimiyoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino had told him. Oh dear, this is bad. Ain't unexpected. What happens thrice will happen a fourth time. That's not funny, Oreo. You're right, it isn't. It's just another hassle. The police are trying to identify the body. I heard that the face was completely destroyed, so it'll be difficult. It's quite clear who it is, though. Eh? Do you know who it might be? Oreo glared at Kimiyoshi, then started chuckling. Haha, idiot. Must be some impudent lad who didn't come to the Watanagashi festival. People who respect Oyashiro-sama won't get involved in something like that. Oreo kept laughing. Kimiyoshi and Makino didn't know how to react to that. June 20th, 1982, 9:04 p.m. This is merciless. Kuma, every death is merciless unless the dead wished for it. They have my condolences. Like Kuma's character art. How's it going over there? Did you find something that could identify the body? The forensic investigators shook their head. The victim's wearing sandals and casual clothes. They must be from this neighbourhood. We should be able to identify the corpse by asking around. That's the way we do it. The section manager says this case might become classified, so be careful with that. Gotcha. Kuma gathered some of the officers and gave them directions. Dr. Irie has arrived. Doctor, it's over here. A young doctor got out of his car and headed in the victim's direction. Hello. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I had to help with the raffle. You must have drunk a lot at the festival, Doctor. You sure you're sober? Maybe I should run a breathalyzer test on you just to be safe. I'm fine. My assistant is driving. Clever of you. Hey, let the doctor pass. There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Oishi and Irie pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. I want to reread Miranda, the book series. The blood spatters and the bloody sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk and indicated with small alphabetized plates. I'm not used to seeing things like this. Irie took out a handkerchief and covered his nose. You should breathe through your mouth. Well, you might sense the smell visually, though. Haha. The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like the middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain it was a middle-aged woman was because its face was completely pulverized. This is brutal. I'm sure it was done out of malice. The victim must have been murdered right here, judging from the pattern of the blood spatters and the soles of the sandals. And even though not many people take this road, the body is right in the middle of it. It's very unusual to see a culprit who would bludgeon their victim until the face was completely destroyed. Also, can you look at her arms? Oishi put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arm. See? Spotless, aren't they? You're saying that the victim did try to protect her head? That there's no signs of struggle? Right you are. I think the victim lost consciousness with the first blow. Then the culprit kept beating to complete the murder. The victim was probably lying face down at that time, judging from the stains on her clothes. The body is face up now. The culprit seems to have flipped the victim over in order to smash her face in, even though by that point her death was certain. Irie looked like he was going to throw up, both because of the putrid smell and Oishi's reasoning. If somebody had been dead for like an hour, would they really smell that bad? I don't know. It's a very harsh question to ask, I know. Smashing the victim's face is clearly a sign of a grudge in my experience. It's a very profound grudge too. That means the culprit must be someone close to the victim. I understand you didn't call me to resuscitate her. Doctor, do you know who the victim is? If you do, I don't have to waste time questioning the neighbours. Irie looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then after a while, Irie left the investigation area without saying anything. I'm sorry, I don't know. You sure? Oishi smirked and looked into Irie's eyes, as though Irie was hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. Haha, I guess you're still under the influence, Doctor. Maybe you'll remember when you're sober. Let me know if you do. Oishi tapped Irie on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kuma guy returned. Oishi, the section manager is on the radio. The one in the first car. Irie lied. Huh? Nothing. Hurry up and question the neighbours. Victim must be from this area. June 20th, 1982, 9:39 p.m. Oishi, you're here. There you are. Thank you for coming here this late at night. I know you have school tomorrow. I'm really sorry to bother you. No problem. Where's your father? My stepfather doesn't come home much. Uh-huh. Since when? When did he come home last? I don't know. I heard he's living with a woman who works at a club in Okonomiya or something. I don't remember exactly when, but I guess I last saw him a few weeks ago. Uh-huh. Do you have your father's address? No. He's living with a woman who works at a club? Do you know the name of the place? No. I know it's in Okonomiya, and that's all. What's your father's name? Teppei Hojo. Oishi signaled Kumagai with his chin, who nodded while taking notes. Were your mother and father getting along well? I don't know much about that, but I don't think so. I see. I want you to tell me honestly. Do you know anyone who might have been holding a grudge against your stepmother? I don't. Haha. Alright. Please let me know if you remember something. Here's my card. My number is on it. Okay. I bet that's why they hate the police so much. Because all the girls got together to cover up for Satoshi for the murder. And that explains her absolute hatred towards Oishi. Is the fact that he's the one... And certainly I got the impression in book 4 that he was a lot more sinister. In book 3, rather. I might ask to see you again for further inquiries, and if you see your stepfather, please let him know that we want to contact him. Kuma, drive him home, will you? Oh, no, I can go home by myself. Please, let us drive you home. There's a possibility that the culprit who murdered your aunt is roaming around the neighbourhood. You might get hurt too. Thank you for consideration, but really I'm fine. Satoshi tried to reject the offer, but Oishi and Kumagai insisted. In the end, Satoshi was forced to accept. He turned around to leave, when Oishi spoke to him as if he remembered something he'd forgotten to say. Hojo. Yes? Don't worry. It's no problem. We'll catch the culprit soon. Do you have any leads? Yes, we do. Like what? That's confidential. Haha. Ordinary people might think that Oishi's trying to cheer up the poor kid with a joke. Well, usually people get pretty worked up when they commit murder, though of course there are some exceptions. What kind of evidence do you find when the culprit's worked up? When somebody is in a very exciting condition, the body shows many symptoms, like sweat, loss of hair. We often find the culprit's hair at crime scenes. Well, this is outside, so it's a bit different, but still. Did you find their hair? I don't know yet. The forensic guys are searching the scene right now. I'm anxious to see what they'll bring me. Hoo-hoo! Excuse me, I have to go now. Please, Kuma, would you? Sure. Hojo, see you again soon. I'll let you know if there's any progress in the investigation. Let me know when you remember something. Let's cooperate to catch the murderer of your stepmother. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Let's cooperate to catch the murderer of your stepmother indeed. Wink. Sis called the morning after the Tanagashi festival to tell me that the curse had struck again for the 4th time. The victim was the evil aunt who was harassing Satoshi and Satoko. Satoshi's suffering should be over now, since the problem was with Satoko and the aunt's relationship to begin with. Maybe I should have celebrated, but I wasn't in the mood for some reason. Did the police have a lead on the suspect? Sis went quiet when I asked that. I don't know. Oishi seems to be questioning people in the neighbourhood. He thinks the culprit is someone close to the victim. Being identical twins, Sis and I think very much alike. If I suspected Satoshi of being the murderer, so would she. Because of this, I didn't have to mention the obvious. Does Satoshi have an alibi for that day? I don't know. I heaved a huge sigh. You stupid. He was at the festival. Didn't you see him there? Yeah, right. I'm sorry I didn't realise that. I heaved another sigh. Sis was stupid enough to forget to make an alibi for him, even though the murder of his aunt alone would raise enough suspicion. So that means he did do it? That's not important now. The problem is whether he has an alibi or not. Well, the police are going to come here later. I'll tell them I was with him at the festival. Sis, lying out of the blue like that won't work. If you haven't done anything to ensure his alibi, it's too late now. Please, just be honest with him. I can't trust your acting skills. You might raise more suspicion if you make something up on the spot. Yeah, sorry. She sounded depressed. I was the one who should have been depressed. Mion usually handles things well, but she's not too good with emergencies. I was therefore worried for the future of the Sonozaki family. Mion must have been embarrassed. She soon changed the subject. I guess you haven't been able to work lately, have you? You're right, I haven't, thanks to you. I'm sorry about that. I'll head somewhere until tonight, so maybe you can work today? Sis had been appearing in public places during the festival preparations and whatnot. As a result, I hadn't been able to pretend to be her. I hadn't been able to work. As someone who had to support myself, it was a bit of a pain. To be honest, I didn't feel like working, but I couldn't afford to be sitting around either. When I locked my apartment door before leaving, the door of the next apartment opened and Kasai appeared. Shion, are you heading out? Yeah, I'm going to go to work since Sis gave me the time until tonight. Can you give me a ride? Shion, wouldn't it be safer for you to take a few days off? The police seem to be staking out the main house. I don't think it's a good idea to leave. I appreciate your concern, but I have to make money to survive. Kasai might suggest he'd donate money to my cause. However, I'd sworn to myself when I started living here that I wouldn't depend on Kasai. While I don't obey anyone else's rules, I stick to my own. Kasai could tell that I was adamant in my decision. So after repeating himself a couple of times as a formal procedure, he decided to give me a ride after all. Every time we went to my uncle's store by car, we stopped at this traffic light. I knew it was going to happen again, but it still irritated me. Pedestrians passed by in front of the car. I was startled to see that one of them looked like Satoshi. It was him. Though I'd spoken with him on the phone just a couple of days before, it had been a while since I saw him last. Kasai, sorry, but could you tell my uncle I can't come today? I'm getting off here. What? Shion? Kasai looked taken aback, but I got out of the car regardless. The light turned green. The car behind him honked while Kasai was shouting at me, so he had to start moving. Satoshi was on his bike, but he was going really slowly. I caught up with him in a flash and tapped him on the back. Sorry, I've lost all emotion in my voice. It's because abruptly I just got so tired. I was thinking about doing a workout after this, but I think this week is just a write-off. Next week is the week that I get my shit together. Hello, I'm surprised to see you in Okonomiya, Satoshi. If I talked to him with a smile, he might smile back. So I smiled as brightly as I could. Mion. He looked tired as always, but as I could tell, he was trying to smile back. My worries suddenly disappeared. I was certain I looked happy. I was aware of that myself, so it must have been obvious to Satoshi. I don't know the circumstances, but you look happy. Yeah, I am happy. I'm happy because you look happy. When I teased him, he looked a bit embarrassed. It was like we were back in the good old days. I felt even happier than before. What's going on, Satoshi? Did something good happen? Not really. My aunt died, and I have to deal with the police and the neighbours. I might have asked something dumb. He seemed to be okay with it, though. He frowned a bit at first, but Satoshi continued smiling gently. He looked worn out but satisfied, like he'd accomplished something great. That was the mood I sensed from him. So I was convinced. The one who killed that wicked aunt who tormented Satoko was him. I had absolutely no proof, but I knew it intuitively. So I omitted all the questions. I knew Satoshi's motive for killing his aunt and how badly he was driven into a corner. I knew the environment and the situation he was in. And I knew Satoshi's feelings. I knew all of that. So I omitted all of those questions. I wanted to celebrate his release from that curse, so I smiled like nothing was different as I asked. Where are you going, Satoshi? To work? That's right. I have to make a stop before that, though. A stop? I have to make sure it's still there, otherwise I'll continue feeling really anxious. That conversation reminded me. The reason he started his part-time job was to buy Satoko a huge teddy bear. It was being sold at the toy store just down the street. I recalled that the teddy bear was very expensive. Satoko's birthday was right after the festival. I wasn't sure what day, though. Wait, didn't he say he quit his job? Maybe he was going to greet his ex-co-workers and clean out his locker or something. Either way, he'd be completely free very soon. Maybe he hadn't been paid yet. That's why he wanted to check if they still had the teddy bear. Maybe he was only getting paid on Satoko's birthday. When we got near the toy store, he rushed to the display window. He looked relieved that it hadn't been sold yet. Good. Alright, still there. You've earned enough money already, haven't you? Why didn't you reserve it? Probably hadn't thought of that. He really did need someone to look after him. I looked into the display window over the shoulder. The teddy bear wasn't that cute in my opinion. It looked huge and cramped in the middle of the store showcase. Really, more like a display model than an item for sale. I don't see a price tag. Is that really for sale? How much is it? Yeah, I'm sure they sell it. What about the price? Does it fit your budget? It's alright, I already checked. Satoshi thought I was teasing him again. He pouted and looked a little sulky. There's no problem then. Why don't you go reserve it now? Then you won't have to feel anxious anymore. We entered the store and looked for a clerk. Is anybody here? Nice. Maybe you can get it without paying. No, Mion. Stealing is bad. I'm just kidding. Trying to make you laugh. Do you think I'd really do that? No. Sorry. Satoshi smiled apologetically. I puffed up my cheeks to tease him. It had really been a while since the last time we did this. In between those times, many undesirable things happened that I wanted to forget. But now I felt as though all those things thickly vanished into the air around us. I found an old person napping in the back. Jesus, I've really forgotten how to speak. He must be the clerk, I thought. He looked to be fast asleep. Excuse me, you work here, right? I poked a shoulder, but he didn't look like he was going to wake up. When I did that, a middle-aged woman wearing an apron came in. Grandpa, you fell asleep again. We have customers. I'm really sorry, you two. He's been very flaky, you know. The middle-aged woman shook the man awake and told him to go back to the living room. She went to the cash register after that. That was so embarrassing. So how can I help you? I'd like to reserve something. That big teddy bear in the display window? Oh, that one? You sure? That one's really expensive. You know that, right? Yes. I think I have enough. He'll get paid really soon, so we'd just like to reserve it. The woman looked a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually wrote down Satoshi's name and accepted the reservation. Satoshi received a slip of paper. See? You don't have to worry about the teddy bear anymore. Yeah, I'll get paid soon too. I feel relieved now. Who would have kept coming to check every day if he hadn't done this now? He'd have spent his time needlessly worrying. Satoshi looked very relieved indeed. I should have done it sooner. Usually people do that right away when they want something. It's very rare for somebody not to think of that. So very fun to tease him. Those painful days seemed unbelievable now. Satoshi looked like he'd forgotten everything that happened up until yesterday. Anyway, thanks. Satoshi held out his hand to touch my head. Was he going to stroke it? I felt my face reddening already. Even before he touched my head, I felt tingly, remembering the last time. I didn't care about the murder or whatever else happened. As long as Satoshi had his freedom, everything would be alright. I'd be content as long as we could live happily from today onward. But Satoshi's hand never reached my head. I slowly opened my eyes, only to realise that the situation had drastically changed. There were 4 men in suits blocking our way. It looked as though they'd been waiting for us to exit the toy store. Oh, hello, hello. The oldest of the 4 men stepped forward while smirking. I'd never met this man, but it looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi. Sorry, my computer has some issues. It looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi. He was probably a cop. I ran a search for information in my head and found some right away. Good to see both of you, Hojo and Sonozaki. I'm sorry to bother you at a time like this. This must be Kurada Oishi, the cop who's investigating the series of mysterious deaths. He thinks that the Sonozaki family is behind all of the cases. In other words, he's an enemy of the Sonozaki family. He has deep connections with other investigation divisions from the police force and likes to nose around the businesses in the area. He annoys the Sonozaki family enough as it is by interfering with its Yakuza business, let alone his suspicions on the series of mysterious deaths. Naturally, as a family successor, he's not a welcome figure to Mion Sonozaki. I tried to imagine how Sis would react. Oh, Oichi, thank you for working hard for our safety. Ah, the 4 of you want something from this toy store? A doll, maybe? Haha. I know what they want, and it's not a toy. It's probably not me either. They want Satoshi. Took a look at Satoshi. He seemed a bit uncomfortable. The other 3 cops loosely surrounded us to prevent our escape. Hojo, I'd like to talk to you about something. What for? You taking him to the station? You don't have to go with him, Satoshi. Let's get out of here. I pushed on his shoulder, but he just stood there looking pale and bewildered. Bewildered? No, he actually looked resigned. Then I recalled Sis's mistake. It's obvious that he killed his aunt from the circumstances. You don't even have to look at the crime scene. How could Mion have failed to create an alibi? Stupid Mion must have spoken to the police without making anything up at all. She must have not told them that she knew where Satoshi was. If she hadn't done anything, the villagers wouldn't work to help her. It was just a matter of time until the police uncovered Satoshi's complete lack of an alibi. The police were trying to corner him and lead him to confess. I looked at Satoshi's face once again. He looked like a dead man. He probably didn't know he could refuse to be interrogated. He was taken to the station and grilled by Oishi. He'd confess in a minute. Somebody had to protect him. Nobody had ever been there for him. I had to step up now. But how? Would it be possible to alter what Mion had already told them, saying it was a mistake? That wasn't going to work. If I'd had more time, I'd come up with an excellent idea. But I didn't have that much time at all. To pressure him, the cops were drawing nearer. Satoshi must have felt intimidated. He might end up turning himself in due to the pressure while I'm stuck trying to come up with something. I have to do something now. I have to say something. Otherwise, Satoshi might give in. I have to save him. Oishi drew near. Satoshi fell back. Oh. It won't take much time. Come on, don't be scared. Won't take much time? He just said it. He just said he wouldn't let him out if he caught him now. Satoshi, don't give in. If you give in now, everything you've been working for will be ruined. Oh. Satoshi looked like he was at his breaking point. Oishi was clearly aware of it. Oishi smirked and held out his arm to grab Satoshi's shoulder. I felt electrified when I saw that. That hand shouldn't be allowed to touch Satoshi. The moment Oishi touched his shoulder, he'd give in. He'd go to the police and confess everything. Sorry, I'm just checking a thing. Do you want to know his alibi? Oishi turned his face towards me, his hand left hanging in the air. I wasn't very prepared for this. Hang on. Sorry, I've got a hangnail. I wasn't very prepared for this. I just had to stop Oishi, no matter what. I only needed to gain some time. Didn't really matter what I said. That's right. I wanted to get Hojo's alibi. Haha, we must not be doing our jobs. We can't seem to confirm his whereabouts at the time of the crime. Shameful, but we decided to question him in person. You don't have to ask him. I can confirm his alibi. Oh, really? That'd help. You already told me you were at the festival that night. Many people can confirm it. It'd be easy if we could confirm that Hojo was with you. But I don't think you mentioned him when I questioned you last time, did you? You going to change your statement now? Even though no one at the festival saw Hojo, are you going to tell me he was with you? That's right, he was with me. Wouldn't that be enough? I know you were there with your other friends that night. I saw that myself. Are you still saying that you were with him? Haha, isn't that a little too hard to believe? Isn't it? Oishi approached me with a creepy smile. Was he teasing me because my excuses sounded funny? I didn't think so. He was frustrated due to being interrupted when he was about to catch a big fish. Are you saying that you forgot you were with him, but just now remembered you actually were? Mion Sonozaki. I did get a little scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I could save Satoshi if I revealed my real identity. I was aware of the risks. Grandma would certainly capture me if I revealed it. I didn't think of the consequences after that. I'm not Mion Sonozaki. I didn't go to the Tanagashi festival in the first place. Huh? Satoshi and I were talking in a restaurant in Okonomiya at that time. The name of the place is Angel Moor. You can confirm that with the owner if you want. Oishi was still smirking, but he apparently felt confused. What are you saying? If you want Mion, then who are you? I'm Shion Sonozaki, Mion's twin sister. Pleasure to meet you, Oishi. Oishi looked perplexed, like he didn't believe what I'd said. He frowned. I didn't know Mion Sonozaki had a twin sister. You trying to fool me? Not at all. Why don't you check my family register or whatever? Should I call sis? All the cops looked bewildered now. Shion Sonozaki? Yes, that's me. Is there anything wrong? Can you come with us? If you're testifying that you were with Hojo that night, I'll have to talk to you too. Sure thing. Please go easy on us. Really, I should retitle the stream to Be Shion, Have Problems Caused. The cops gathered at their car and started discussing something. Looked like they never expected this to happen. I hope to be able to fake Satoshi's alibi for at least a little while. Shouldn't be too difficult to talk to Sis about this, then forge up an alibi together. Satoshi, tell them you were chatting with me at Angel Moor that night, no matter what they ask, okay? I'll confirm your alibi. Tell them you don't remember that night too clearly, or maybe you should just keep silent. Satoshi wore a startled expression. Though I was telling him something important, he'd apparently decided not to listen. Can you hear me, Satoshi? You can't mess us up, okay? Okay. He must have been feeling deceived. No wonder. I just confessed that I wasn't Mion, but a twin sister. I really had been deceiving him. Are you upset? Why? Because I'd been fooling you. So she started laughing. I didn't know why he'd laugh, because he wasn't the type of person who'd laugh in order to hide something. I finally understand why you were weird sometimes in class. I've been thinking it was a bit strange. Aren't you upset that I've been fooling you? So she looked puzzled. It was like he didn't know whether he should be upset about it or not. Or maybe he was only pretending to be that way. So this isn't the first time we've met, is it? Well, yes, that's right. Okay, how do you write your name? With the characters for poetry and sound? Shion. Huh. Huh? That's a beautiful name. Could you please come with us to the station? We can get you instant coffee or tea if you'd like. Ah, Shion. Shion, you flirt. Achievement for this is a teddy bear, and it says absentee present. View new tips. Notebook, page 29. Either Satoshi was smart or very lucky, or maybe it wasn't him. The police found nothing at the crime scene to indicate his involvement in the murder, yet Satoshi was still the prime suspect. Considering his home environment, he had a strong enough motive. He had no alibi. The police had everything other than physical evidence. It wasn't surprising that Oishi took a chance. He probably didn't expect me to step in, but what I did was too little to avert his suspicion of Satoshi. Oishi believed that Satoshi did it. He was waiting for Satoshi to fall apart and confess. That's what both Oishi and I were thinking. But that hypothesis was destroyed later on. I'll not talk about it now, but Oishi's theory will be disproven and the police will be thrown into shock. A question comes to mind. That is, who saved Satoshi? I can only think of the possibility that the Sonozaki family invented the culprit. And in fact, we know that they did. we know that it was Oreo who went, "Oh, some dipshit," and everyone was like, "Yes, we'll acquire you a dipshit." So the achievement for this is trying to know where I had a dear friend go missing, and I have concerned cat energy. I'm going to try and finish this chapter of this stream, so let's go. The cops were smart enough to separate us during questioning. I wish he didn't come talk to me. His name was Satoshi and nobody else. I got a young cop who just talked about ordinary things. He must have been trying to ease me into the interrogation. When I realised that, the clumsy way he spoke began to frustrate me. Is Satoshi alright? I didn't think Oishi really bought my testimony. He must have been trying to get Satoshi to confess in spite of that. All I could do was pray that he'd keep quiet. The phone on the desk rang, and the cop picked it up. "This is Kumagai?" "What? Alright, I understand. Right away." He hung up and told me someone had come to retrieve me. It looked like Satoshi had to stay. Were they going to continue this interrogation just because he had nobody to pick him up? Although maybe I should have been worrying more about myself. The hag had probably heard about me by now, since I revealed my real identity to the police. Couldn't hide any longer. I was going to receive some sort of punishment. I had no idea what she'd end up doing to me. The degree of punishment for a traitor is always severe in the world of the Sonozakis. The punishment must be carried out. It's to protect the family's reputation. It's carried out no matter what. Maybe I should kiss my pinky finger while I still can. I asked the young cop just in case. "Hey, do you know that in America, if a condemned criminal gets arrested in a state which has banned capital punishment, they refuse to surrender him to the state prosecuting him if that state hasn't banned it?" Huh? Maybe it's too difficult for him. He just looked puzzled. A glossy black car was waiting for me in front of the police station. A few men from my dad's office bowed to me. "It's been a long time, Shion." "Where's Kasai?" Kasai had been helping me ever since my escape from the school. They wouldn't allow him to walk free. "How's Sis doing? Does she have something to say about this?" "We were only told to bring you to the main house. Please ask her when you get there." After saying that, he escorted me into the car. A man sat on either side of me. Obviously, they didn't want me to escape. Thinking of Satoshi, I looked back at the police station. "Hold on tight, Satoshi. I'll grin and bear it too." The car started off roughly. It was never a good occasion when I went to this house, except when Mion and I were really small, oblivious of what the Sonozaki name meant for us. I'd been here only when I had to attend boring family councils. The car parked behind the house. Traitors aren't allowed in through the main gate. I got out of the car. It looked like Sis would be the only person to receive me. I almost looked at her casually, but her cold gaze froze me before I could. "It's been a while, Shion. I never expected to see you other than on New Year's." Gave me chills to hear her greet me in that cold manner. "It's a pleasure to see you again, Mion. I feel overjoyed to have the chance to see you other than on New Year's." I responded, trying to sound likewise. "Our leader is deeply upset. I wonder how you'll explain yourself." "I have nothing to explain." I had no excuse. I'd escaped from school solely because I couldn't stand it there. That was all. "Shion, come this way. Everyone is waiting for you." Mion escorted me and the others followed. We went to the garden, not into the house. As we passed through the huge yard into the woods, I realised where she was taking me. When we were little, we were told never to go near these woods. I had a vague idea of what was in the back of them. I'd heard there was a hidden entrance to the underground torture room, where they used to punish enemies of the family. The more hideous rumours I heard about the family, the more credible those rumours seemed. Well, I wasn't completely certain about any of that. I'd never expected to see the torture room for myself. We came to a concave clearing in the middle of the woods. I saw a metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter. "So, this is the underground torture room, huh?" I was surprised to hear my own voice. My voice was trembling. It made me realise that I was more scared than I thought. Nobody answered my question. The very air felt tense. According to the family rules, one of the twins must be eliminated. Was I finally going to be eliminated? I realised I'd been underestimating my punishment. I hadn't been aware of the real terror until now. I just thought I was. Beyond the steel door, the air had an intimidating smell. This really was happening to me. I shouldn't allow myself to give in to fear. I felt like saying something rude, but my lips were dry, and my fingers were fidgeting. I was escorted through the narrow hallway and down a few sets of stairs. There, I saw another huge steel door. So this was the place. It was a spacious and utterly odd-looking room. The room had two sections that looked completely different. One side looked like a lounge. I saw several high-ranking members of the family council sitting on cushions there, looking expressionless. The other half was tiled, as if in a large public bath. That was already puzzling enough. There were those things. To be honest, they captured my attention from the moment I arrived. I noticed them even before I saw the lounging child's face. I know what this is about, but I will leave it to be revealed. I just didn't want to accept that they existed. I couldn't stand straight. I almost dropped to my knees, but I couldn't. 2 young men had been holding me by the arm since I got here. There were oddly shaped things hanging from the wall. I was just refusing to recognise what they were. I knew exactly what they were called. I see. I understood that those eerily shaped objects were torture devices from hell. Damned fool! How dare you return? The hag sitting at the front of the lounge intimidated me in a horrid voice. She kept cursing me for a little while, but she was so intense that I could barely tell what she was saying. I knew what she was trying to say, though. The hag was willing to forgive my escape from the school, but once I revealed my identity to the police, she had to step in. Since I disobeyed the family rule, she, as the leader, was forced to punish me. Moreover, there was one thing that bothered her more than anything else: the fact that I covered for Satoshi. The Hojo family had been seen as traitors to the village ever since the dam conflict. Satoshi is still considered one of them. She couldn't accept that I was connected to him. To me, this was a bit unexpected. I'd escaped from the school the hag had put me in. All the while I believed that that was what she was upset about. But in fact, she said that she was the most uncomfortable with my connection with Satoshi. I couldn't believe this. Of course I knew that Satoshi's family was persecuted for their betrayal, but I didn't think that Satoshi was also burdened with that responsibility. He has nothing to do with that. I understand that his parents were ostracized, but he shouldn't be. Shut the hell up! The hag interrupted me with a shout which made me cower in fear. She continued slandering the Hojos, and said that Satoshi was a cursed child. I started feeling pissed off. What did he do to deserve this? What was he being blamed for? It was too late when I realised I'd said that out loud. The hag looked furious. I'd obviously upset her. I decided to repeat myself, to make it clear how I felt. What are you saying, you old hag? Everything you spouted is nonsense. Huh? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Shut the fuck up, let me finish. I shouted loudly to silence the hag. The fuck do you know about Satoshi? How could you talk about him like he's some pest when you don't know anything about him? I know how sweet he is. You don't like him because he's a Hojo? How fucking stupid is that? Is even your brain archaic or what? You hate the fact that a Sonozaki is with a Hojo that much? It's not just stupid, that's beyond stupid. Boy, I never expected to feel like Juliet. Haha! My voice became hoarse from shouting, much like mine! My face was messy with tears. Even so, I didn't feel like putting a stop to my emotional explosion. I was all too aware that I was doing this just to overwhelm my fear. The hag was glaring at me while breathing heavily. I glared back at her as fiercely as I could. Eventually, I realised that a sticking point was my relationship with Satoshi. She was knowingly upset that I had a mere connection with him. I see. Looks like Mion mentioned that too. It was as though Mion was wearing a mask. She didn't budge under my penetrating glare. That was what the hag was really unhappy about. The fact that I was in love with Satoshi. Haha. I don't give a shit about his family background or my own. Yeah, I'll admit that I'm in love with him. I love Satoshi Hojo. I love him so much. Is that so wrong? Do you need a reason to love someone? I see the relatives shaking their heads in turmoil. TBH, it really feels like obviously Shion's got the support of being connected to the Yakuza and then also money, but it seems like in general she doesn't exactly owe the Sonozakis a lot, like in terms of, like, I can totally understand if she also hated the family, to be honest. Among them, I saw my mum. She must have been trying to protect me. But even she wouldn't look at me. Instead, she looked silently at the floor. Did you guys in the back hear me? Am I wrong? You know how sweet Satoshi is in an instant if you bother to get to know him. How can you put him down without... Mion held out a hand to silence me. Then, she slowly walked in my direction. That is enough, Shion. I understand what you wanted to say. Mion put her head close to mine and whispered. Shion, I know how you feel, but you can't go back after coming this far. You have to pay for what you did. What did I do? Why me? It's ridiculous. Shion. Mion's face turned cold again, and she calmly told me. You're probably right, but this is Hinamizawa, and we are Sonozakis, so I'm sure you understand. We are the leaders of the 3 families, and you are the twin sister of the successor, Mion Sonozaki. Yet, I interrupted her. We haven't agreed on that matter ever since I came back. You're full of this reputation shit. Hinamizawa, Sonozakis, so what? I don't give a fuck about... Listen! Min interrupted me just like I did her. How many people did you depend on to start your new life in Okonomiya? Chills shot through my spine. Kasai is at the cell in the back. Why Kasai? I knew why, of course. The moment I got caught, those who helped me were destined to meet the same fate. We were all subject to the punishment of betrayal. Maybe my punishment would be lighter than what they'd be going through. Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro must have been treated much worse than this. Everybody who helped me was falling victim. I know that you're prepared for your punishment, but have you ever thought of the consequences that Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro will have to face? My head rapidly cooled down. My aggression was all used up. I should be able to bear whatever punishment they bring on me, but I resented the fact that I'd be putting the people who supported me at risk. Shion, apologize to Granny. If you do, the others won't have to suffer, alright? But Mion, did I really do something wrong? Was any of what I did that bad? The moment Mion learned that I wasn't willing to apologize, her expression turned cold again. She turned her back to me and returned to the lounge. I talked back to the hag in a really harsh manner. I told her that I didn't do anything wrong. Yet I'd involved many people to whom I owed so much. Went without saying that this was my responsibility. I was the sole person to blame, and no fault lay with them. Yes, Kasai and Yoshiro were blameless, just as Satoshi was. But then, as if she read my mind, Mion turned around and gave a slight nod. It was possible that something was going to happen to Satoshi, on top of Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro. Wait, sis. That can't happen. Satoshi, I mean, nobody else should be punished. Please forgive them. What is it, Shion? Tears rolled down my cheeks. I no longer cared about my pride. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I should have said what the hag wanted to hear, yet she still looked unsatisfied. Maybe that wasn't too surprising. I just denounced her so badly in front of the relatives. She wouldn't forgive me so easily. Just then, Mion spoke as a successor. So Shion, how do you propose to pay for this? Pay? What do you want me to do? Nothing could be scarier than being told to pay up while standing next to horrid-looking torture devices. I was completely terrified. I couldn't move from trembling. Mion saw that and whispered to our grandmother. The hag nodded. Mion summoned some young minions and gave them an order. They removed one of the torture devices hanging on the wall, and then set a table in front of me and put the device on top of it. What is this? It's a tool for removing fingernails. Do you know how to use it? No way. I shook as I stared at the tool. It looked like a giant nail clipper. Probably you put the part that looks like a beak between your... I don't think I can say that out loud. That's really painful. If you are listening to this, look up a description of how one would remove a fingernail using a torture device. The chills ran up and down my spine when I imagined it. Each fingernail represents one of your responsibilities. Shion Sanosaki, no matter which one you choose, you must remove 3 nails yourself. 3? 1 for Kasai, 1 for Uncle Yoshiro, and the last for Satoshi. It was a fairly reasonable number. Will you really not punish the others? Promise me. Please let them go if I do this. This is a punishment, not a negotiation. If you don't like the procedure, I'll do it. Just give me a second. I'm doing it. I put the device to my little finger while shaking badly. If my fingernail was shorter, it would have been harder. So I stabilised my left hand with a different restraining tool. That seemed reasonable, because my finger would slip out if it wasn't restrained like that. As the subordinates buckled up the leather straps, I realised that this was really happening, and there was no escape. Somewhere in my mind, I'd been thinking that they might just forgive me after the gesture alone. I shouldn't have been so naive. The emotions I'd been holding back appeared in the form of tears and kept rolling down my cheeks. It was like my feelings were being squeezed out to the very last drip. Something even more horrifying followed this. It was the silence that awaited my next action. So, what should I do now? One of the subordinates pointed to the handle and told me to either squeeze it or hit it. He recommended that the ladder would be easier, to make it quick. Nobody said anything after that. There was nothing to hear but the sound of my sweat dripping onto the floor. The onlookers were staring at me silently, waiting for me to execute my punishment. Both the hag and Mion, they were also anticipating it. I could refuse, but that meant I wouldn't be paying up. The punishment exists to offer payment in exchange for the safety of those who helped me. If I refused, they would suffer. I started breathing heavily. I knew that if I did this, the others would go free. That was, if you thought about it, quite a good deal. If it weren't me, it wouldn't be just fingernails. If it were Kasa, he'd have to sacrifice his little finger or something even worse. I knew that. It was my selfish desire to get away from that school. Why did Kasai have to suffer because of that? I knew that. Let the audio back up a bit. Why did Uncle Yoshiro have to suffer just because he provided me with a job? I knew that the hag and the other relatives still hated the Hojos, so I didn't know what they'd do to Satoshi if I didn't do this. Would they bring Satoshi here and tell him to do the same? Would they tell him to remove his fingernails in exchange for forgiving me? He'd do it. He'd sacrifice himself with no hesitation in order to save others. My sweat dripped onto the table through my nose. I'd do it. Yes. It was only 3 fingernails. It might hurt a lot, but I wouldn't die. The fingernails would grow back. It wouldn't even leave a huge scar. I shouldn't be afraid. The punishment was minimal because it was me. If I refused to do this, the others would be punished much more severely. I couldn't let that happen to Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Satoshi. I was the only one who should be punished. So I just needed to bear the pain. I wasn't just breathing heavily anymore. I was also moaning faintly, ready to scream at any moment. That's right. Make it quick. This wasn't torture, so I didn't have to prolong the moment of pain. I should do it in one swift blow. That way, my pain and fear would be minimized. I raised my right arm. Quickly. The pain would be lessened if I did it in one stroke. Be much more painful if I messed it up. Ha! I held my breath. I felt as if my body was frozen. I was choking. The chills crept up my spine. Don't be afraid, Shion. Fingernails are just a tiny fraction of the whole body. Just 1 square centimetre. I could do this. If your hands don't hurt while reading this, or in your case watching this, then are you real? I actually need to cut my fingernails after this, and the whole last time I'm gonna be thinking about this scene. I could do this. I could bear it. I smacked my right hand onto the handler device. I sensed the noise through my body instead of through my ears. At the same time, I felt a pain I'd never experienced before. A moment later, the pain pulsated with my heartbeat. I clenched my teeth. Felt like my teeth were cracking. I tightly shut my eyes until my eyeballs got squeezed up. The pain wouldn't fade. Rather, it swelled with my blood pressure. I felt as though it was bloating like a balloon. Timidly, I opened my eyes. I found that my little finger wasn't really drenched in blood. It was bleeding, but not much. Certainly not enough to explain how much it hurt. Although, to be honest, nail beds do bleed a lot. My fingernail was open, just believe what I was seeing. It's overwhelming. It occurred to me that I'd only done 1 out of 3. Did I have to repeat this 2 more times? Did I have to remove the nails from my ring and middle fingers as well? I looked at the hag and at Mion, begging for mercy, but they were just silently staring at me, as if the show had only just begun. I saw no hint of mercy in their eyes. They wouldn't be changing their minds. Since they said in 3, it had to be 3. They wouldn't forgive me until I removed 2 more fingernails. Mion, look, isn't this enough? It really hurts, you know that? You see that in my eyes, don't you? It really hurts. Mion answered, still wearing a cold look. Shion, you can't keep going? She didn't mean that it was sufficient. What she meant is that the others would have to take the remaining punishment if I didn't. I knew that. I really did know. I'll do it. This is easy. You sadists. Ha! This doesn't scare me. This doesn't hurt. Ah! I quickly moved the metal beak and set it on my ring finger, and smacked it with no hesitation. Instead of making it quick, maybe I was just rushing out of fear. I'd messed up. Torture tool had clipped just the tip of my fingernail. Pain, however, was equal. Couldn't believe I'd only chipped it. Did I have to do it again? Did I have to continue removing the nail from my ring finger? That much pain again? Again? Shion? No. Oh, I don't want to do it. Couldn't bear it anymore. I started crying shamelessly. I can't take it anymore. I accidentally typed E instead of W. There we go. Can't take it anymore. It's too painful. Forgive me, please. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They didn't seem to hear my voice. Felt as though there was an invisible barrier between us. They showed no mercy. They were just here to witness this ritual. So rather than be sympathetic, they looked amazed by my screw-up. Mion walked up to me and whispered to my crying face, "Shion, there's just a bit more to go. Hang in there." "No, no, no. Can't do this. It really hurts. It really does." Mion shook her head, then signaled the subordinates. They came from behind me. They covered my head with something like a knit cap. It was a blindfold. One of them pinned me in a Nelson hold, restricting my movement. "No, stop it. No!" I couldn't overpower the guy behind me. Then I felt something strange on my left hand. The other guy was doing something with the torture tool. He did the thing? "No! Mum, help me, Mum! Ah!" My left hand was fixed in the restraint, so I couldn't put up much protest anyway. But even that left hand was pressed down by his rough palms until it hurt, robbing it of the freedom even to tremble. God, my throat hurts. Oh, I just accidentally turned my headset way down? Possibly? They had no hesitation. It was made very clear to me how merciless people could be. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assailing me. If there was anything I was thankful for, it was that he was well practiced and had ripped them both off cleanly. Pain and screaming might induce narcotic chemicals in the brain. While screaming, I started losing consciousness. And then I guess Satoshi has disappeared because we didn't have the courage to do the third one. Someone else had to do the third one, so it didn't count. It didn't fully pay the debt. It's horrible. I just want to say, absolutely fucking vile. What a good horror game. I woke up. My memories were missing. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my head with both hands. My left hand was bandaged. The things that had their nails removed had swollen like hot dogs. I'd paid with those 3 fingernails for what I did. The hag had sent something out of the punishment, but I didn't remember any of it. I was taken to a hospital in Okonomiya. The car shook on the way, adding extra pain on top of what I already felt. Somebody gave me some aspirin. They worked just like they said on TV, but they didn't last more than 10 minutes. I swallowed the pills without water. Someone told me once that if you swallow certain pills without water, it will burn a hole in your stomach, or possibly your throat. And ever since then, I've really not known whether or not to believe it, because I typically swallow my pills without water. And I know it's not good, but I don't know whether it's that bad. While I was spacing out in the waiting lounge, Kasai showed up. He probably came to check if I was alright. I obviously wasn't. He must have understood that from my bandaged left arm dangling from my shoulders. Kasai, on the other hand, looked just fine. At least on the outside. I was relieved that my sacrifice had meant something. Kasai didn't say anything. I couldn't tell if he wanted to tell me something or not, because he looked so emotionless. Kasai? Yes? He paused shortly before answering. I could tell he was upset. I didn't regret revealing my true identity in order to protect Satoshi, but I hadn't wanted Kasai or Uncle Yoshiro to be hurt. I had been contradicting myself. Do you know how Uncle Yoshiro is doing? No. I'm sure he's alright, because he's strong. Even so, you should apologize to him. Okay. I wanted to ask him about Satoshi too. I wondered if he was captured or harassed by the Sanozaki family because of me. But I was hesitant to ask Kasai. After all, I'd chosen Satoshi over them. Was Satoshi alright? I hoped he wouldn't get caught or incarcerated somewhere. I paid the hospital bill and Kasai gave me a ride home. I finally realised that someone was knocking on my door. Shion, it's not healthy to sleep so much. It was Kasai. He put some side dishes on the table and we started nibbling at them. How do you feel? Depressed? Ha. Have you been resting? Have you been eating? Been eating the stuff left in the fridge. Otherwise, I've either been sleeping or staring at the ceiling. It'd been 3 days. I'd just been lying down since then. I woke up every now and then in my shallow sleep, but I didn't feel like getting up or thinking. I felt like I'd just been floating the whole time. My appetite was gone, but it came back with the smell of the food Kasai brought. I wasn't able to think of anything to talk to Kasai about, so I just ate silently. I got a call from Mion yesterday. She was saying she called you a few times, but never got through. The moment I heard Mion's names, I felt my wounds throb. But I didn't stop Kasai, who continued. Because you paid up, the family decided to close the matter. You will officially withdraw from the academy and transfer to a school in Okonomiya. They're finally acknowledging my right to make my own decisions, huh? Indeed. They said you could live as yourself now, under a few conditions. You will stay away from Hinamizawa. You won't pretend to be Mion Sonozaki. You won't show up in public places, and so on. This means, in exchange for acknowledging me, they don't want me to hang around. That's correct. Of course, it's only temporary, until things cool down. There is no set duration, but I think you should stay inconspicuous until at least the end of the year. Be good enough just to live in Okonomiya quietly, the way it was before. Kasai put on a sad smile. I smiled back at him likewise. Before the conversation ended, I should ask him what I wanted to know. How's Satoshi doing? I wished then that Kasai would assure me of his safety right away, but he didn't answer like that. Kasai, is he alright? Shion. Kasai put his chopsticks down. The family wants you to forget about him. What? Shion. I don't want to get into an argument with you, so I'll not get into details. I'm only relaying to you what the family wants. What are you talking about? What details, Kasai? Kasai pretended as though he didn't hear me and started eating again. I'd never seen him get so stubborn like this. The Sonozaki family had been using the Hojo family as a scapegoat. They must have concluded that Sonozaki shouldn't be in love with the Hojo. I didn't like that. Stoko was a friend of Mion's at school. Would it be okay if Satoshi and I were the same gender? Anyway, if I did something conspicuous again, they might do something to him for real. Just like they forced me to remove my own fingernails. The Sonozaki family wouldn't hesitate. They'd torture him if need be. Maybe if I really loved him, I should stay away. Satoshi won't show up in Okonomiya until he rejoins the Hinamizawa fighters. I'd have to pretend to be Mion if I wanted to go to Hinamizawa. But I didn't think she'd cooperate with me. Even if she did, it'd be some time down the road. Even if they told me not to see him, I already had no means of doing that again. Oh, wait. Mion gave me his number a little while ago. I could call him, then maybe ask to meet with him secretly. But if I got caught again, they wouldn't cut me any slack. Should I risk it? The hell did I even want from Satoshi? Kasai, can I be alone for a moment? Kasai started putting away his food in a rush, assuming I wanted him to leave. Oh no, that's not what I meant. Take your time and finish your food. I just want to take a walk. You can't lock this place up if I don't step out with you. Kasai quickly put away his meal and followed me out. Just to be clear, I'm not going out to see Satoshi, alright? I see. I turned around and started walking. My destination was rather pathetic. It was the toy store that sold that giant teddy bear. I couldn't deny that I was someone expecting Satoshi to pass by there. I couldn't stop myself from looking at the faces of passers-by who resembled him. I looked into the store's window. The teddy bear was gone. Congrats, Satoshi. Looks like you were able to buy it. His evil aunt had died and his wicked uncle was living with his mistress. Satoshi succeeded in fulfilling his duty as big brother by buying his little sister that huge teddy bear. There was nobody left to hurt him. He was free from his tiresome efforts. He was completely free from pain. Over time, he'd retrieve his smile, and he'd go back to being the Satoshi I love. But I wouldn't be there with him. Made me jump. I heard a car honking. I didn't think it was honking at me at first, but it was so persistent that I had to look up. The person waving at me from the car was Irie. He was waving at me all carefree, oblivious to my feelings. Sonozaki, long time no see. Oh, are you meeting up with Hojo? No, I'm not. I know he looks into that store's windows all the time, so I assumed you were expecting him here or something. No, I'm just passing by. It looks like he was able to buy that teddy bear. Irie seemed to know about the teddy bear as well. He smiled upon seeing its empty display space. Yesterday was Toko's birthday. He must have celebrated it with that teddy bear. He doesn't have to work so hard anymore, huh? Indeed. Did he turn in his resignation to the Hinamizawa fighters? Oh, does that even exist? Never received one. Did you, Sonozaki? No, I didn't. So that means he still belongs to the team. Think he'll be back after things have settled down. But I know he'll be sad if he doesn't see you there. Irie teased me. He's a grown-up, after all. He must have been trying to sound optimistic because he knew I was feeling a bit down. You can come back to the team anytime you want. Might as well be empty without you. I'm thinking of providing you with a maid costume once you come back. I burst into laughter. Irie sure hadn't changed. Oh, I almost forgot. I can tell you my name now. Sorry, Coach. I was lying about my identity. I'm not Mion. I'm her twin sister, Shion. I've been pretending to be her for a few reasons. Eh? What? You're Mion's twin sister? He was totally taken aback. I burst into laughter again. Yes, I am, Shion Sanozaki. I'm forced to live quietly because my grandmother hates me, though. I never realised that Mion had a twin sister. Haha, same here. Suddenly a loud voice interrupted us. The voice sounded mean and greasy, unlike Irie's. It was him, Oishi. Hello, Dr. Irie. Thank you for your cooperation last night. Don't mention it. I wasn't of much help. They're just going through the motions. It was obvious that they hated each other. Irie whispered to me. I'm leaving now. Do you want to get in my car? I can drive you home. Irie figured that Oishi was after me, so he was giving me a chance to slip away. Looking at Oishi's face, it was clear that his focus was on me, not Irie. He probably intended to interrogate me until my testimony broke. I was sure I could talk my way out of it, but it'd just be a waste of time. All right, Coach. Let's get going. Oh, are you two going somewhere together? Yes. We're on our way to get some stuff for the team. We have to drop by a few places, so will you excuse us? Irie bowed. I followed suit. I had to admire how good he was at lying. He's a grown-up, after all. I'm a grown-up and I'm pretty shit at lying, so, Oishi seemed to know it was a lie, but he didn't have a warrant, so he couldn't stop us. I moved to get into Irie's car. How are your wounds, Shion Sonozaki? I gasped when I heard that. My left hand was bandaged. It was unsightly, so I kept it in my pocket. There was no way Oishi could have been able to see it. They'll heal with no problems if they don't get infected. I tore my fingernails off a couple of times myself when I was a kid. But look, they look beautiful now, don't they? Men's fingernails shouldn't look beautiful. That gives me the creeps. Oishi scratched his head and chuckled. He's supposed to be one of the best cops at Okonomiya PD, and he knows about all the underground activities in the region. He must have heard about my payment from somewhere. Still, that happened in the secret basement of the Sonozaki main house. I couldn't underestimate this guy's sources. Thank you for your kind words. We'll be going now. Excuse us. Shion Sonozaki, why don't we get coffee together sometime? What? You hitting on me? If you like. Sorry. Time flies. I can't waste any of that precious time on things that don't interest me. Fucking wrecked. Brutal as fuck. Ah, you got me there. How about this then? You can leave any time if you get bored of talking to me. I won't stop you. How does that sound? I don't mind you talking, but I won't talk back. I doubt you could call it a conversation. Yes, that'd be fine. You can just listen, and I'll talk. You can just listen to an old man ramble while sipping on a cup of coffee. He was being strangely persistent. Didn't look like he was trying to poke a hole in my statement. What would he even talk about? Got a bit curious, even though I was still skeptical. Coach, I think I'll go with the old man instead. Shion? I winked at him and told him not to worry. Free coffee, am I right, lads? Irie didn't insist. He got in his car and drove off. I wish he backed his car up so I could get in it. I hopped in the back seat since I didn't want to sit next to him. Are we really going to a cafe? If you could direct me to one with no connection to your family, that'd be great. Why don't you just take me to the station then? I wish he carefully checked for oncoming traffic, then started driving. I wish he took me to the police station, as I thought he might. If he'd taken me to a nice cafe, he would have scored some points. But whatever. I thought it'd be more convenient if we came here. You can still go home if you get bored. Try your best not to bore me then. Do you want me to go into the station hand in hand with you? I wish he chuckled and got out the car. He escorted me inside the station. I thought he'd take me to an interrogation room, but instead he took me to an office of the investigation division. Officers in both suits and uniforms were working at their desks, answering phones. There was a desk with a plate that said section manager, and nearby there were couches and a table. I wish he told me to sit on the couch and started making some instant coffee. I'd never been to this part of the police station. I looked around in curiosity. Do you think I'd take you into an interrogation room? I wish he brought over a tray with coffee cups on it. Treated me better than I expected. Thought you'd root me or something. My tastes don't run that way, haha. So? Thought you wanted to talk. All right, I'll cut to the chase. Are you in love with Satoshi Hojo? What? It's getting boring already. I'm going home. Haha, okay, please forget that. Oh, she must have known why I had to remove my fingernails. He wasn't trying to confirm that I liked Satoshi. What he was really saying was that he knew already. I already talked to Detective Kumagai about Satoshi's alibi that day. Of course, I read Kumagai's report. I know you were with him. I'll just repeat the same statement no matter how many times you ask. Don't think you can poke holes in it. No, that's not what I want. You're a smart person. I know that wouldn't work for you. I wonder what you're after. You're wasting your time if you want information on Satoshi. There's nothing more to talk about. This is boring me after all. Going home, since that was our agreement. Excuse me. I got up off the couch. Shion, I did want to get Satoshi's alibi from you. I admit it. That's it then. It's boring. I'm going home. I turned around and started walking. I wish she didn't get anxious, but instead spoke a little louder. But Shion, what I want to ask you about is his alibi for yesterday, not the day of the murder. His alibi for yesterday? Why? What does that have to do with his aunt's death? It's because Satoshi has been missing since then. What? Didn't you know that he went missing? I couldn't say anything, but my expression answered Oishi's question anyway. What's going on? Missing? What? Why don't you take a seat? What do you mean Satoshi's gone missing? The hell? We only know one thing for sure. He withdrew all of his savings at an ATM in the Okonomiya post office before 3 PM yesterday. We don't know his whereabouts after that. I knew why he withdrew that money. He wanted to buy Stoko's birthday present. Yes, he definitely bought that teddy bear yesterday. This is just my guess, but I think he skipped town with that money. You mean he used the money to run away? Stupid. He was saving to buy Stoko a birthday present. He bought a big expensive teddy bear from that toy store. He'd never use that money to skip town. Yes, the most expensive teddy bear in that toy store was sold. But we can't confirm that it was Satoshi who bought it. Why don't you ask the clerk? Satoshi and I reserved that teddy bear together. Oh, I had a bad feeling. The old man who was watching that store was sleeping when we were there. He looked very senile. Maybe he was also watching that store on the day, and even though Satoshi bought the teddy bear, he didn't remember. I wish he put on a wry smile. Looked like he'd already tried to question that old man. Anyway, it's Satoshi who bought that teddy bear. He must have saved just enough to buy it, so he shouldn't have been able to run away after. It's nonsense. Alright, let's say he really did buy the teddy bear, then why didn't he come home with it? At that point, I felt as though my heart had turned to ice. Satoshi had been working hard to buy that teddy bear, even though he was under extreme mental and physical stress. After all that, he finally managed to buy it. It's unthinkable that somebody else just showed up and bought the same teddy bear. The teddy bear was gone because Satoshi bought it. Nobody else. But if so, Satoshi should have given it to Stoko. But though he bought a present for her, he didn't come home. He didn't come home? That wasn't possible. He would have gone straight home with that teddy bear. He wouldn't think of running away after buying the teddy bear. Even though Satoshi wanted to run away from the police, he'd never leave without giving Stoko her present. Anyway, it must have been Satoshi who bought the bear. I can say that with 100% certainty. Question was, why didn't he bring it home? Teddy bear was huge. Wouldn't fit into the basket of a bicycle. He might have brought some straps to tie it to his bike. He wouldn't have thought of running away on a wobbly bicycle like that. He necessarily had to go home after buying the bear from the store after withdrawing the money. Nothing could have happened when he was going between the ATM and the toy store. It was impossible. Nobody else could have possibly bought that teddy bear. Never. Teddy bear had been sitting in the showcase up until that day. Everyone can see it when they pass by, but nobody wanted it. It's impossible that it could have been someone else. There should be no question that he went to the toy store after he withdrew the money. What about the route between the toy store and his home? There shouldn't be any question there either. He shouldn't have been able to do anything with that huge toy. He shouldn't even have thought of making a stop on the way. So he must have headed home, right after he bought the teddy bear. But nobody saw him after that. It was simple then. Satoshi went missing on his way home from the toy store. He went missing? What did that mean? I was sure he killed his aunt. He was not that shrewd. Maybe he couldn't bear the pressure from the police? Was he resigned to the idea that the police were going to arrest him soon, regardless of my help? Did he decide to run away? Did he think that he should disappear until things cooled down, rather than get arrested? That was definitely absurdly possible. It was impossible that he came to the conclusion on his way home from the toy store. Even if he did, he would have waited until he gave Satoko her birthday present. Satoshi loved Satoko. He shouldn't have spoiled her that, but anyway, he always tried to be a good brother to her, so he'd never disappear before going home. I felt as though the ice was cutting through my heart, expanding the frost. If Satoshi didn't disappear by his own will, the answer was simple. Satoshi disappeared by someone else's will. Was Satoshi eliminated? That's really stupid, old man. Phil could shake off the frost on my heart if I laughed loudly enough. I kept laughing till it happened. I kept laughing and laughing. All the cops in the room stared at me. They thought I'd gone crazy. I didn't care what they thought. I kept laughing until it turned into a cough. I finished laughing, and I took a sip of lukewarm coffee. I felt as though the frost in my heart had spread all the way through my guts. I was chilled to the bone. I was freezing. My fingers shook as I held the coffee cup. Shion, please listen to me without interrupting. What I'm about to tell you is only a hypothesis. It's all just a theory. You might start laughing in the middle because it may sound ridiculous, but I want you to hear me out. Can you do that? Whatever, just talk. I was feeling far too cold. My teeth were tattering. Shock! I felt as though my brain had frozen as well. I lost my ability to think. I couldn't do anything by myself. I could only do as Oishi told me. What he was going to tell me might be the worst possible theory, but I had to listen to it. I know that Satoshi's and Satoko's aunt was abusing them, especially Satoko. In my opinion, it's normal that Satoshi started thinking about murdering his aunt, because he was just a human being. I had to deny that Satoshi murdered her, but what Oishi was saying was true. I couldn't deny his hypothesis right away, just kept silent. This is only a hypothesis, alright? Please don't be upset. And no interruptions. Agreed? I know. Just go on. Satoshi Hojo planned the murder of his aunt and executed it. We have no proof, okay? It's all theoretical. All right, I heard. Just keep talking. I'll switch the subject now. Shion, you were forbidden from having a relationship with Satoshi, weren't you? They told you to stay away from him, correct? I believe the reason behind that is, not that your family hated the Hojos, but that they didn't like the fact that you were involved with a murder suspect. That is actually possible. After all, when I was pretending to be Mion, I already had a connection with Satoshi. Before anyone knew it was Shion who was spending time around him. Could have been accused when I was helping out the Hinamizawa fighters if the relationship between the Hojos and the Sonozakis was the problem. It wouldn't be difficult for the Sonozaki family to know that Satoshi murdered his aunt if it happened in Hinamizawa. Maybe one of them even saw the murder. The Sonozaki family didn't like that I was in love with a murderer. They decided to step in. Also, you're known to not give up easily, aren't you? Which means, even if the Sonozaki family threatened you or ripped off your nails, you still wouldn't cut ties with Satoshi, would you? I couldn't deny that. I lost most of my means to access Hinamizawa, so my ties to Satoshi were essentially cut. True. But I still knew Satoshi's phone number, and I expected him to rejoin the fighters eventually. I believe your family knew that a few threats would never be enough for you to break ties with Satoshi. They could threaten you all they liked to no avail. So their only option would be to do something about the other person, wouldn't it? What do you mean, do something? What would they do? What? What? Threatening me was useless then. They'd do something about Satoshi. What would they have done? If they pulled something, then wouldn't that interrupt his path from the toy store to home? Toy store to home? Toy store to X to home? What's X? What is X? X marks the spot where his path was interrupted. But what interrupted it? Why couldn't Satoshi make it home from the toy store if something interrupted him? Why? What's X? X? I ran out of air, became dizzy, and collapsed. The floor felt cold. I felt no pain. I'd fallen to the floor like a plastic doll. Oishi and some others rushed over to me and helped me up. Calm down, Shion. We're not certain that Satoshi was killed yet. You're not certain he was killed? The fuck are you talking about? Don't you know about the torture room where they forced me to rip off my fingernails? Don't you know that they say there are prison cells and a well for disposing of corpses in the back? If the Sonozaki family wants to eliminate somebody, they definitely kill them in that torture room and dump the body down there. You're not certain? Are you dumb? Is your brain made of tofu? If I were in the hag's position, I'd kill him for sure. I wouldn't let him get away. If I would kill him, then the hag would definitely kill him. Shion, please calm down. This is unconfirmed, but I have information that somebody witnessed a young runaway male at Nagoya Station who took a train from there to Tokyo. The clothes didn't match, but it is possible that he changed what he was wearing to hide from the police. It's still possible that it was him. Tokyo, huh? Where Keiichi comes from. Is he alive? Is he... This is also a theory, but let me go on. Your twin sister, Mion, is the closest person to Oryo Sonozaki, correct? I'm assuming that Mion stopped Oryo when she suggested murdering Satoshi furtively. Mion? It was possible. She could have tried to calm things down out of pity for me. It was always so indecisive. She should have been clear on if she wanted to save him or not, but she probably seemed vague about that. She must have persuaded the hag to reduce the punishment to banishment instead of death, just to avoid feeling guilty. I believe that the Sonozaki family contacted Satoshi. They probably told him that they couldn't cover up the murder and told him to disappear somewhere far away. They forced him to be more accurate. Satoshi would have rejected that. He would never leave Satoko behind. I agree with you. Satoshi was working at the places Mion referred him to, wasn't he? So the family knew that he had enough money for a getaway. But he never used it for anything other than buying that teddy bear. You're right. He must have gone straight to the toy store after he withdrew the money. But what if the teddy bear was already sold when he got there? That would have been a very desolate situation. He'd been working hard, but of course it's one of their uncles or grand uncles or something who holds the shop, isn't it? While his aunt abused him, he worked at many different jobs. The money was worth all that pain. He went to the toy store with that money in order to buy his beloved sister a present. That was the only purpose for the money. He must have looked for the teddy bear as he'd always done. But it was gone. He wouldn't have gone into a panic right away, because he was always so optimistic. He might have thought the store was wrapping the gift for him, because he told him he'd pick it up that day. He must have gone into the store joyously. I couldn't guess exactly what happened next. My heart would tear up if I tried to imagine it anyway. Why didn't they have it, even though he'd had it reserved? Did that old man understand the situation, or was he just zoning out? Maybe it would have been the same even if it wasn't that old man working in the store at that time. If a bunch of fierce-looking subordinates from the Sonozaki family went in and showed them the money, nobody could have rejected it. Satoshi must have sunk into silence. No matter how hard he complained, the teddy bear was gone. He probably never even considered that his dream might be taken away. He must have been wobbling his way home in sorrow, leaning on the telephone poles every now and then. It was the day he wanted Satoko to be happy the most. He couldn't get the present she wanted the most. He probably didn't think of getting another gift, because it was unimaginable that he couldn't get that teddy bear. He might have imagined how Satoko would react when he found out he had no present for her. He must have looked unbelievably sad and empty. The money he'd been saving meant nothing anymore. Satoshi never cried, even at his toughest moments. Did he even know how to cry? It was always Satoko who was crying. So Satoshi never learned how to cry, and he grew up that way. Did you know? People shed sadness from their hearts with tears. Satoshi wasn't even allowed to do that. Even though his heart was filled with sorrow, he couldn't let it out. You insisted he wouldn't leave Satoko behind, didn't you? But think, what if the Sonozaki family had told him that they'd look after her after his disappearance? After Satoshi found that the teddy bear was gone, all he had left was some crumpled bills. The family told him it was just a matter of time before the police got to him. They told him to run away. They said they'd take care of Satoko. Satoshi didn't feel like seeing his sister. He wandered and found himself at Okonomiya Station. He must apologize to Satoko so many times in his mind. He swore to come back someday. He headed to Nagoya and then to Tokyo. But that meant he's alive. He's alive. I should be able to see him again someday. He must be coming back, so I'll definitely see him again. I assume that the Sonozaki family set up some place for him to stay. Satoshi must have gone there. So he's safe. He's coming back someday, right? Oishi looked up at the ceiling and stretched. He didn't answer me. On June 24th, 1982, Satoshi Hojo went missing. There is a possibility that he ran away, as he was the prime suspect of the murder that happened on the 20th of the same month. Allegedly, someone resembling him was seen at Nagoya Station embarking on a train heading to Tokyo, but the truth is unknown. No one has seen him since. As a matter of fact, no one even knows if he's still alive. Oy vey. Achievement is train to nowhere and it's a train ticket. The information that Satoshi might have headed to Tokyo hasn't been verified. It started as follows. A young man came to the lost and found window looking for his wallet. The station employee asked him to write down his name on the form. Then the young man started writing Hojo as his name, but he stopped in the middle, crumpled the form, and wrote a totally different name on another form. Another station employee witnessed a similar-looking young man rushing to the train heading to Tokyo. The employee from the lost and found, and the employee who was on the platform, talked about the suspicious young man in the locker room. That was all. The wallet of the man named Hojo was never reported as found to the lost and found office. Huh. I wonder if maybe he was leaving like a trail of breadcrumbs or something. At first I thought Oishi's theory that the Sonozaki family banished Satoshi from Hinamizawa and looked after Satoko in return was bogus, but thinking about it now, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. After all, Satoko Hojo started living with Rika Furude after Satoshi's disappearance. Rika Furude isn't just a regular girl. She was the head of the Furude family, one of the three families. The head of the Kimiyoshi family is Rika Furude's guardian. The Sonozaki family probably couldn't step in due to having been officially opposed to the Hojo family, but Satoko Hojo is in custody of the three families now. Even though the Hojo family was severely ostracized during the dam conflict, Satoko Hojo was now under protection. It seems so only Satoko was exempted from blame. Why was she spared, even though Satoshi wasn't? I ask myself that every day. My guess is it's because she's baby. But anyway, folks, that brings us nigh perfectly to the end of this here stream. I am going to say thank you very much for watching. It is very much appreciated, and I do hope that you enjoyed. I will be streaming I'll be streaming Dishonored, Death of the Outsider on Saturday, where we are going to steal the second key and I guess plan a bank heist. Then on Sunday it'll be Destiny 2, where we are going to be continuing working on all of the various activities that we have, and I'm going to have hiccups. Tuesday will be Final Fantasy XIV, where we will be doing the 5.0 dungeons and continuing the story of 5.1. There may or may not be a stream next Wednesday, it really depends how I feel. There's a good chance I'll be tearing my hair out over work, so I may not stream just to get some time to myself. But next Thursday we will be continuing Higurashi When They Cry, Meakashi, where we will be moving forward into the future, I believe. Either way, take care everybody, have a wonderful evening, do look after yourselves, be excellent to each other, and I shall see you guys on Saturday.